Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Network. It's Murph, it's Sam, and you know what that means? It is time for the AMA Black Magic Studios Grand National Series tonight, live from the Iowa Speedway. Sam, it's either a big Richmond or a really small Michigan. Take your pick, brother.
I'm going to go with a cross between a big Michigan and a Five Flags.
This place is.
I'm sorry, a small Michigan and a Five Flag racing service.
This place is a big bull ring, but it races a lot like a super speedway. I don't have much experience in a stock car here. I've been around it many a time in iRacing and in IndyCar. Sam, talk to us about what the drivers in the stock cars are going to face tonight.
Oh, these Grand National cars are a blast to drive at this particular racetrack. Now, this is the updated version of Iowa where they have done the.
Let's talk about that too.
The asphalt, yeah, we'll talk about that. And because of the new asphalt, it really has changed a lot of drivers' perspectives about what line that they want to run here. Because that new asphalt does add a new twist to racing lines and how drivers approach. These guys are going to have a handful of race car on cold tires. The temperature is up right now. It's about 109 degrees out on the 112 on the racing surface right now. So those first few laps are going to be extremely loose, and these guys are going to have a handful of that car. But once it sets in, then they'll start getting into a little bit more of a tighter condition, except at the very end of coming off of turn 4 and turn 2, the car will get a little, there's bumps off of both of those corners, so the car will get a little bit uneasy there. But for the most part, you'll have a couple of lanes here that drivers can pick on the bottom and the middle, and you're going to find this is a great place for racing.
You know, it most certainly is. We've already had 3 drivers check in: David Dunwoody, Ryan O'Donohue, and Donald Green. The theme tonight is slick. David Dunwoody said tires are going to pull a premium. We mentioned it. The new pavement is partial and it's in patches. The lighter color that you see around here, that is the original pavement that came with this track when it was built. The dark patches, and this track built, by the way, in 2006 opening. So there's 20 years worth of Iowa winners on that light stuff. The dark stuff in the corners, that's a brand new patch. And Sam, it's a lot smoother. It's a lot more grippy once you get heat in the tires. But this track was known in its original iteration for being sort of a tire grinder. So I'm interested to see what those patches do in terms of tire wear.
No, I agree with that 100%. No, I'm 100% on board with that, just simply because the Iowa sun beats down as hard as it does in Rockingham or Darlington, or even Atlanta for that matter. That sun really does a number on the asphalt here, and tires will be a premium. As I said before, on cold tires, this thing's going to be an absolute handful. So I'm very interested on starts and restarts, how everything plays out. Some drivers are okay with loose conditions, but other drivers are extremely nervous with those things. And then, of course, just to see who can save the most tire over a longer run. Like the last stage will be the longest run, and it will be important to see who can save the most tire in that, so that they can make a move toward at the end of the race. Tire conservation. I don't think fuel will come into a play here. Just simply, it's about 100 laps, 95 to 100 laps, just depending on how heavy your right foot is. So I don't think fuel's going to come into play unless the stages are at 40, and then 120 or 110.
There you go. Speaking of the stages, Sam, it's a 250 lap affair. The stages tonight are really short, lap 30 and lap 60, so they're gonna have to do 190 laps for that final stage. Last year's
there
winner,
will be a pit stop in there. There you go.
Yeah, there will, and this is a treacherous pit lane to enter as well. If you're coming in, different leagues do it different ways. Some come in off of turn number 3, and that apron is very marbly and slick. Or if you try to enter it off of turn 4, it is very easy to overshoot pit lane, miss the entrance, and either clobber the inside wall or have to go down the drag strip that runs parallel to the pit lane. We are 3 minutes and 30 seconds away from, or 60 and 120 on the stages. See, Ken Dale told me wrong. Donald Green checking in. He says 60 and 120 on the stages, so the drivers' meeting must be ongoing. I swear, Sam, the media notes here say 30 and 60. So enough of that.
I kind of like the 30 and 60 ideas. I thought that was amazing.
I do too.
But,
I do too, man.
It still gives us the last stage. It still gives us about 100. Well, after caution laps, you're still looking at probably about 120. 125 laps, so there still will be there'll be another pit stop that will need to be made in that last stage, because right off pit lane, it's only, you're throwing 100 laps, and just depending on how you handle the throttle, you might get 95 to 100 out of the tank.
You might.
It's very sketchy.
Speaking of past winners here, the AMA has been here before. In 2024, Joey Beck took home the trophy. The fastest qualifying lap was 23.888 by Joey Beck. Keegan Sabilo ran the fastest race lap, 24.375. Just to give you kind of an idea of what we're turning here, the NASCAR Xfinity record, well, that's held by Chandler Smith in the 2024 Hy-Vee Perks 250, 23.341. Today, well, Sam, we're going to take a look at who's fastest in practice. I'm going to give you 3 guesses, Sam. 3 guesses.
Okay, I'm going to go with Ryan O'Donohue.
23.877, Ryan O'Donohue.
I'm telling you, I'm just saying, that is a very fast lap under these conditions.
It is.
I'm just telling you, 23.8. My fastest lap here is a 23.5, and that was in just a tad bit cooler conditions. But my heavens, that's blistering.
You know what my fastest lap is here, Sam?
In a stock car, that would be 0.
That would be 0. So we actually in the Indy cars with the new pavement, the outright track record held by Ryan Briscoe, 17.490. We're about a second quicker than that with the new pavement here. So. The open wheelers blaze around this track. We can almost cut a 200-mile-an-hour lap on a 7/8 mile oval. It's incredible how fast those cars are. There's also, fans, as we get within a minute, there is also a road course here, believe it or not, and they have run top-level prototype and GT races here. Michael Valiente in a Riley Mark 11 in 2007 did a lap of the road course at 41.624. And the road course here is real simple, Sam. You haul it down on the oval. You make a hard right-hand turn about the middle of turn 3. You go through kind of a one Mickey ear infield section, and then you go right back out on the banking before pit road. There's not much to it. It's only 6 or 7 corners. But they have run IMSA races here, believe it or not.
Oh, well, yeah. That would be interesting. I will say I've run a lot of laps at this particular racetrack, but I have never turned anything on the road course.
I don't know if they have it in the sim. It'd be interesting to find out. And if they don't have it, by Jove, they should scan it, Sam. We are done with practice here at Iowa in the AMA Grand National Series. And we're going to get right to some qualifications, Sam. Who should we ride with, my man? Who do we want to see?
Well, it's been a while since we've had Christian Light here in the AMA, and he's back tonight. And he was fast in practice. Let's follow Christian and see how he does in qualifying.
You're absolutely right, Sam. He was second quick in practice, so we're going to get Christian Light up here just as soon as he gets the 96 on the Speedway. Of course, teammates with Donald Green, and Donald joining us in the chat. I don't see how these guys chat and drive, Sam. I could never do that, but some people, I guess, have the skills. Here's Christian Light And let's jump into the roof cam with Christian. We'll get the telemetry up, and away we go, Sam.
Again, once he gets in this car, it's going to be extremely loose.
So I'm assuming that
some drivers, they may throw the first lap away just to get some heat in the rear tires.
I was going to say the things that you're describing about the way the car behaves, the setup. It sounds like it's going to be a lap 2 affair here in qualifying. Watching on the roof cam of Christian Light, it doesn't look too awful bad so far, Sam.
Well, if you watch his throttle control too, he's moderating how loose the car is, or not, simply through the throttle. And if you notice, he's running that middle line. He's a car width off of the bottom, so that is a preferred line now with a lot of drivers here at Iowa since this patching pavement has been added in the new scan. Some drivers like to run right at the line, but then there are other drivers who want to utilize that new pavement and get that big run off of the tail. You see that loose? He had a handful of wheel there coming off of 4.
It was still fast for Christian.
He goes to the top.
Yeah,
it was to the top.
It was still fast. His first lap was the quickest, 24.365, 130.971. So great run for Christian Light. We'll go ahead and put David Dunwoody up on the screen. Dunwoody 25.770 on his first attempt. He's also informed us. He's out in the Davey Allison retro looking number 28 admin box on the side. Dunwoody told us that the road course here is scanned, and there are also 2 legend car tracks. So Sam, we're gonna have to.
I thought I'd had some friends say that they had run the Mazda 5s at this road course before.
I think we should have like a host or something. Get the GTPs out here. I think that'd be a blast.
Oh my heavens. You wouldn't even be able to utilize the throttle. You would just be idling all the way around the road course.
2007, man, they ran Daytona prototypes here. There's David Dunwoody. The server gives it kind of a blink. Dunwoody, and there's your loose condition, Sam. He is sideways coming off of turn number 2. That's going to be nose into the fence, and he is going to be done with qualifying. We'll check in on Sean Roberts. Here's Roberts in the 13.
Well, you know it's loose when Ryan O'Donohue pops into the chat and says he almost wrecked it. So, and Dunwoody's around again.
Yes, he is. We're looking at Sean Roberts now. He's gone 7th quick. So here's Sean working his lap.
See that jerking motion where the back wants to come around a little bit. He's wheeling it off of 4, and there's a bump at the end of that transition that can really throw the car up toward the wall if you're not careful.
Now here's a threat for pole, and this is some new colors, Sam. I know you were one for Greg Evans, the Deuce.
Oh, for Greg Evans, yes.
It's teal and gunmetal gray, my man. He's got good looking hot
Greg
rod.
was working on this paint scheme today. He called me and asked some questions about the new font that he's racing with the Deuce on there, and we had some conversation, and he sent me a picture of the livery. It looks really good. I love that color combination.
Yes, it does. Of course, that's
and it's the Sim Gaming Expo as the sponsor.
It is, Sam. You gonna go to that, or you gonna see it in Chicago?
No, I would love to go to Chicago. Chicago is definitely. I'm a Cubs fan, and I've been to Chicago. I've enjoyed my time there, but I will not be making the Gaming Expo, which I wish I could.
Of course, there will be several people from around the community and people that our viewers here on P1 are familiar with. The red flag has flown over qualifying, and we'll get more on the Sim Gaming Expo here in just a moment. But first, we got to get the grid, Sam.
Let's know who's. There's some fast drivers up front.
Yes, there are on the pole, and I would classify this as a surprise pole. Christian Light, 139.70 for the pole. Dylan Godinez is going to be second. Matt Sizzler and Ryan O'Donohue make up row 2. Sean Roberts, Greg Evans, they're going to start in row number 3. Troy Carricker is going to go from 7th, Kendall Paul 8th, Brian Sharp 9th, and Rick Fowles will start from 10th. We've got 19 drivers in the field. Starting 11th is John Hutchins in the 72. Eric Corder will be 12th. Donald Green and Sean Merriman will make up the 7th row. From Joseph Klein, David Dunwoody, Colby Pierce, Matt Metler, Barry Seaman in the 55 will be shotgun on the field. Klein, Dunwoody, Pierce, Metler, and Seaman did not get time. Merriman very slow, and Sam, I'd have to kind of think that the loose condition out there on the cold tires really played a part in the makeup of this grid.
Oh, I would have probably opted myself, even just maybe not even put a qualifying time in, just simply that I could get the heat in the tires early on, knowing that there's stage brakes, and you could probably make up some time or some positions there. But I'm not surprised that any driver would not take a time and just kind of ride things out at the beginning of this race so that they can be here at the end. It is currently 107 degrees on the track temperature, and the time of day, I mean, we're getting close. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, so the heat will remain in the state at least through the first stage, maybe even through the second stage, but we may see a decrease because there's not a lot of cloud cover today.
No, and looking at that weather and looking at the time of day, we're not going to get into darkness in this thing. But the Iowa Plains do cool off quite a bit in the evening, and so looking at this,
Yes.
looking at this field, these drivers are going to get a lot more favorable conditions as the race goes on. We're rolling away from the grid, saying this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this. Iowa is.
Oh no, I agree. I love races. I love races here at Iowa, and they can be exciting. And there's so many things that can play. And Dylan Godinez has completely disappeared. Oh, he just reappeared. He was gone for a while.
Yeah,
I noticed that he had some connectivity issues in practice, but he I wouldn't have brought it up, but he was gone all the way down the backstretch. So but what I was saying was that Iowa, it really presents so many different scenarios that can play out. The tire wear, of course, fuel mileage comes into play sometimes at these races, and then pit strategy. You can very well see some people maybe try some pit strategies in the first two stages.
Yeah, you most certainly could. Checking on board with some of the drivers. There's Troy Carricker, number 94. Let's hop on board the pace car. Actually, let's see. Well, we can't quite get the pace car to do what I want it to do. It is a fun look inside the pace car when it works. We're looking off the light bar. The pace car driver is going to duck on off this time, and we're going to have 250 laps of AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series action live here from the virtual Iowa Speedway. We're going to talk a lot more about these dark patches of pavement and what they mean and how they affect the race cars. Pace car has ducked on off. Barney has the green flag in the air. They're going to cross the Era Corn, and the Iowa Corn 250 for the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series is on.
Buckle up, folks. We're going to have some really interesting racing going on here tonight.
We most certainly will, Sam. Everybody makes it safely through turns 1 and 2. Down into 3 and 4. Sean Merriman.
Roberts is loose, and he wrecks in front of the field. Oh, he collects Brian Sharp. Greg Evans was able to miss that. Oh, my heavens.
The number 6, I believe that's Donald Green, is involved. Holy heavens, what have we got here? What have we got
it's
here?
Exactly what we talked about. Roberts went into turns 3 and 4, and the back of the car just came around on him, and it's just a slow death spin. Carragher and Evans, Kendall Paul missed him, but Eric Corder, John Hutchins, Brian Sharp, as you said, I believe you said, yep, Donald Green. Actually, Donald Green, he avoided contact with Sean Roberts and barely touched the tire wall on the infield, so he should be fine.
Yeah, I don't think there's any major damage. Do want to welcome.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone's, I don't think it's the end of anyone's night. I would say that Brian Sharp probably took the brunt of the most damage.
Yeah, and here's Sean Robertson. There he goes into
Barry
turn number
Seaman
3.
catches wall trying to avoid the incident as well.
Yeah, you see Sean Roberts. He goes into turn 3, turns left, and straight sideways he goes for the 13. Comes back up the track. Hard lick for Brian Sharp. Same for John Hutchins.
Yes.
Merriman goes to the bottom. The 77 got a piece of that. Donald Green noses into the inside wall. Get the 55 of Barry Seaman against the outside wall. Colby Pierce, Andy Dunwoody, David Dunwoody, they thread their way through. Sean Roberts is already on the pit lane, as is Brian Sharp. He failed to avoid the trees, and so poor Brian Sharp is on the pit lane. I don't think there are no meatballs, Sam, and so no terminal damage. But those
I saw that as well.
Yeah, so no terminal damage. Those cars are all going to be able to get repair and get back underway.
Although I think repairs will be lengthy for Brian Sharp, though.
I'm sure.
And this was what we talked about in the pre-race. Is just that if these drivers can keep the car under them for about those first 3 to 5 laps, and just make sure that they keep the car safe and get heat in the tires, it becomes much more manageable. But in these conditions, and with the suspension travel in these cars, it's very easy to put too much wheel input in your cornering, or have too much front brake or rear brake, and all of a sudden, if you mess with that brake bias, the back of the car can come around just as quickly. And a lot of these drivers, those are adjustments that they can make themselves that can become a detriment if they're not careful.
Most certainly can. Did want to give a good howdy right back at Mike Rigney, who's joined us in the chat. Mike, an AMA fan. He's been racing
Mike.
He was racing the truck on Friday.
He had a top 10 finish in the Horizon IndyCar race last night. So
yes, he did.
Congratulations to Mike for that.
He's been running Indy cars. He's been running. It's good to see Mike out there racing and having a good time. Love to see that, of course.
We just got to keep his attention on it. He has to stay focused.
That's right. We're gonna get back in the flag stand because Barney's got the green
flag.
Car's
in. Here we go.
Yeah, Barney's got the green flag in hand. We're gonna go
this
one.
Time Christian Light is gonna get a big jump, and Matt Sissel's gonna follow him on into turn 1 here.
Yes, he is. We're gonna jump in the grandstand. Everybody safely through turn 1 and 2, down the back stretch. Sam,
Yep.
try to not get any spinners. About how long does it take to?
It's so tempting. Oh, and Godnez gets in the wall off of turn 4. Just about collects Rhino Donahue.
About how many laps does it take to bring these tires up to temperature and get them gripped up, Sam?
In my opinion, it's a good 3 to 5 laps. In my opinion, you just really have to just gradually work those tires into temp so that you can be able to drive the car a little bit more aggressively, because those first few laps can be, I mean, it's like walking on ice almost in some regards, especially in the corners. And if you use too much throttle, the rear tires break loose on you. It throws you into the outside retaining wall. So in my opinion, you want to be very careful on those first 3 to 5 laps.
You most certainly do. There's a man on a march, but it's marching backwards. That's Kendall Paul. He has fallen to 8th position, but you're seeing around Kendall Paul, Brian Sharp appears to be coming back onto the racetrack. He will be classified 17th as Christian Light continues to run fast lap after fast lap up at the front of this field. There are quite a few different lines.
Eric Corder just about loses it. Eric Corder gets in the wall on the previous lap. Donald Green loses it trying to avoid
Colby
him.
Pierce just smacked the wall.
These drivers, these guys, this car is such a handful here. Brian Sharp is coming back out on the racing surface.
Now, we keep mentioning the difference between the pavements as Colby Pierce runs up and hits the wall on the straightaway. We keep mentioning the differences in pavement. Dylan Godinez is fourth. He's looking at Matt Sisler for third, and here you kind of get the essence of Iowa. You've got Dylan Godinez right down on the bottom of the speedway. Matt Sisler up just about as high as that dark pavement will get. You want to stay in that dark stuff, Sam. You do not want to get up in the old light colored pavement in the corners next to the wall. It is very bumpy up there. That's where the marbles collect. It is very dirty and dusty. And in turn number 2 especially, there is a huge bump as you go through turns 1 and 2 that can launch the car off the ground even. In an Indy car, if you hit that thing wrong, you can hear all 4 wheels leave the racing surface. And so you want to stay in that patched area for certain, sure. But there are different lines within that patched area that you can run, and we're seeing them used. Sisler was high, now he's low. He'll drop right in front of Dylan Godinez. The interested party in this battle is going to be Greg Evans.
Yeah, there's not a lot that the Deuce can do right now as long as these 2 cars are fighting it out in front of him. And I don't think that he'll try to push the issue unless something inadvertently happens ahead of them. But you're watching Dylan Godinez as he's running in 3 and 4. He's running a very high entry, trying to get a big run coming off of turn 4 to try and make a pass down the front stretch. It looks like he's going to make this pass on Matt Sisler. But again, we mentioned this. There's a 60-lap run in these stages, these first 2 stages, and if you want to manage these tires, if you push too hard and the heat gets up in these
Matt Sisler
going into one. Sisler probably anticipating that Godinez is going to enter lower, and they may meet in the middle and make contact.
Yes, they did, and let's see let's see exactly what happened with Sisler and Godinez. There could have been just a little bit of
definitely neck code.
I was going to say there's at least a little bit, if not more than a little. There they go. Yeah. And there's a good tire.
There's definitely a little bit of net code there. Part of me thinks that maybe Sisler thought Godinez might his entry might be a little lower.
Yeah,
just looking at the overall, I'm looking from the cockpit like you just showed in the broadcast. I'm looking from Greg Evans' car and from his cockpit, and they were close, but it looked like there was just a tad bit of.
There's about half a tire width between them. The good news for Matt Sisler, he doesn't really hit it all that hard. He's going to back it in with the right rear, so the rear bumper is going to be crumpled up. He grazes the wall with the right front. I don't think there's going to be any massive damage on that 3 Birdies machine. He's going to bring it down the pit lane and effect what repair he can. These caution laps here are not long, but they're not short either, and so you've got time to fix stuff under yellow if you need to. To answer Mike Rigney's question, yes, that is a Sim Gaming Expo paint scheme on the Deuce for Greg Evans, and there it is. We were talking about that. There's quite a few people from the community that are going to be in Chicago for that, September 5th through 7th. There are people from all over the open wheel community. Micah Mixer is going to be racing in the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series. That's going to be aired by RaceSpot. That's Porsche GT3s. I will be in the Sim Gaming Expo Open Wheel Challenge, and so we're doing like 5 races on P1. Gary Godso, Matt Wagner are going to be calling that one. So we're looking at a lot of participation from the community. Admin Box is going to be there, one of the AMA sponsors, one of my longtime backers. They're going to have a huge presence, and there is a stadium, folks. And when I say a stadium, there is a gaming stadium, Sam. They're going to put 15 of us in rigs, and there are like 500 seats around this thing. We're used to.
My heavens!
I'm used to sitting in my living room by myself with a greasy T-shirt and a pair of shorts. I'm going to have to get dressed for this, Sam. I don't know what to think about that.
Oh, Oh, the terrible travesty that you would actually have to wear clothes. Good heavens.
I know, right? I can't be barefoot. I'm gonna have to bring. Maybe I can get Jim Herrick to give me a new pair of shoes, but so I don't have to get barefoot. But it's going to be a ton of. It's going to be a ton of fun. And Mike Rigney says it's going to be a good expo. He's got an insider. Yeah, we know you do. Just the guy that organizes the thing, George Anzaldo, of course, himself, a well-known sim racer and league owner. He's put all that together, and it's going to be an awesome thing. We're going to have they're going to have presence from not only iRacing but flight simulators and battlefield sims. It's going to be a good night. Hello to More Farmer, or a good weekend. Hello to More Farmer. I can't wait for tomorrow night. We can't either. Sam, I never can wait for tomorrow.
No, absolutely not. We're always eager to see what the Archway Industrial Truck Series is going to do.
Well, they're off, Sam, so there is no truck race this weekend. This week. So I'm eager for tomorrow because I get a Friday night with my wife. We're gonna go out to dinner, and maybe catch a movie. It's gonna be a great night. And then she's to make up for that, she's already submitted a 4-page long single space list of things for me to do this weekend. The green flag has come right back out. The race is back on. At the front, Christian Light jumps into the lead. Dylan Godinez runs to the inside of Ryan O'Donoghue for P2. The deuce, Greg Evans, is going to run along in fourth, and there's a battle behind him. David Dunwoody looked like he was going to make it 3 wide for a second.
These tires have had a chance to cool off under this caution period, and so now the drivers are right back in that same predicament where they're trying to get heat in the tires. But it looked like everyone got a good launch, and so the tendency is with older tires here at Iowa, you have a chance of.
Whoa, we've got trouble in the back of the field. We've got trouble. We've got a car around back there. That's Sean Roberts and the 55 of Barry Seaman. Yeah. No yellow, Sam. Barry Seaman, just coming off the bottom of turn 2, is going to get that 55.
Well, he got down at the lower part of the racing surface. Wow, he was in the middle of the track at one point. Sean Roberts effectively just stopped in the middle of the racetrack to keep from hitting him.
Yes, he did. Yes, he most certainly did. And we may stand corrected, Sam. I'm going to get the schedule up here. We get back to live action. There's Barry Seaman. The battle up at the front. Greg Evans has pulled right up on the back of Dylan Godinez, and that's going to be the battle for third spot. We are racing tomorrow, Sam. It's just not in the P1 calendar. We are racing tomorrow at Richmond, the Cartoon Clash.
And that's the Truck Series?
That is the Truck Series. It's right there, August 15th.
I thought we were. I was like, man, how did I miss that?
I don't know. Maybe it's probably because I can't read, Sam. We also have.
Well, now you've got to explain to your wife that you actually don't have a night off.
She'll just work me like a dog all day Saturday, Sam, and make me take her out after. We are looking at the back, looking a little bit further back here. David Dunwoody has made the pass into fifth. Troy Carricker has his hands full with Colby Pierce and Kendale Paul. They go side by side. The interested party here, that's going to be the number 7 of Joseph Klein.
Yeah, Joseph has made his way all the way up from the back of the field here, and Joseph has actually had some good speed at a lot of these racetracks, and he's been very competitive. So I'm not surprised to see that he is methodically working his way up through the field.
Yeah, most certainly.
Even as John Hutchins
he's
gets
going
on the
around.
inside of it, they make contact. Rick Fallis just misses the incident. Now Joseph Klein's in the inside wall. No caution is out.
And I don't know. There it is.
Now we have a caution.
There it is. We were on the roll hoop with Joseph Klein. We saw him go around. We didn't know why. And, well, he had a little bit of help from the number 72 of John Hutchins. Around goes Joseph Klein. Great job of avoiding almost from Rick Fowles. I don't think Rick avoided the contact, but I think he avoided serious damage.
Barely. I just don't know if he had anything. Maybe an indicator came up, but I doubt very seriously there's any damage whatsoever to this car.
Well, let's see, Sam. Here we are on the roof cam. of the 396 cubic inch machine for Rick Fallis. I thought it was 356 cubic inches, Sam. Anyway, there's the contact.
No. Whenever I do those old schemes, I always go with the big block number.
Always the big block number. He might have
Chevrolet was
just
the
grazed it,
396.
Sam.
Yes.
He might have just grazed it.
Maybe.
So there's
A
Rick
lot
D.
of fun painting that car.
You know, of course, for those of you who don't know, that is the scheme that was driven for many years by country music singer Marty Robbins, who would often enter super speedway and speedway races in NASCAR. He also ran Nashville, did he not? Just because that was his home.
Oh, that was his home track. That was his claim to fame, was how many races that he ran at the fairgrounds, and how much he helped local drivers, and how much he promoted the sport. And just Marty Robbins was just he was an icon when it came to racing in the Nashville area.
Yes, he was, and that paint scheme is a tribute to Marty Robbins, a very, very interesting character and a very valued figure in 1960s, 1970s NASCAR. When did he stop racing, Sam? Because he raced for a long time, but I can't recall when he quit.
Oh, heavens. I thought he had gotten injured, is why he got out of racing. Let's see. It says that he had.
We'll see how quick Wikipedia can find this here. Winston Cup Series. His last race was the
Atlanta Journal.
Atlanta 1982.
In the NASCAR series. His last race in the Grand National Series was that was 1982 in Cup. And then the Grand National Series, his last race was in 72 in Columbia.
Yeah, but he only
his last race in the ARCA Series was in 81.
Yeah, and so he only ran the big tracks. 1972 was his first NASCAR Winston Cup Series. First starts Ontario, Talladega, Texas World, Darlington, and Rockingham were the three or the four. And he basically ran the speedways. He was one of the guys, Sam, if I recall correctly, he was one of the guys that in the early 70s stuck with the Dodge Daytona wing car, even after they had taken away the Hemi engine from him and made him go to small blocks or restricted him. And then he
got the body on cheap.
Yeah, and then they had to run the small blocks. We go back to green flag. Christian Light jumps in the lead, and then he stuck with Dodges for his entire career, didn't he?
He was a very avid Mopar fan, but there was a couple of times where he had driven a Ford, but most of the time he was a Mopar advocate. But there were a couple of instances where he ran some other things, and I thought, after that race that he ran at the Atlanta Journal 500 in 1982, that was an October race. That was the last race of the season that he ran that race. And then at the reason I thought that he had gotten hurt was because it was just a couple of months after that he had a heart, almost went into complete heart failure. He had a quadruple bypass and he didn't survive.
Indeed. Very sad to hear. He was
only 57 years old.
Yeah, we've got a caution on the speedway. Multiple situations occurring. That is the number 1 of Matt Mettler and the number 6 of Donald Green got sideways coming off of turn number 2. The innocent party there was Sean Roberts, and so poor Roberts, his day has gone from bad to worse. He got collected in a mess not of his own doing. Donald Green is against the wall one more time. Caution is out. And I don't think either one of those cars are hurt at all, Sam. They might have just scraped the wall a little bit, scraped each other. Donald Green will continue on the lead lap. He's got a little bit of scar there on the front bumper. That's not going to hurt anything here at Iowa, but it is enough because they dropped below the minimum speed, Sam. We get to have another caution.
A whole lot of going on back there, but still, we're still kind of preaching how important it is to really be prepared for these cool tires and what they can do, what they can't do, really. Car control here is so important under these circumstances. The track temp is still 106 degrees, and really you just have to manage that car control on starts and restarts in order to be here for the remainder of the run. The drivers have got plenty of tires tonight. There's a tire limit set. I mean, they have 5 sets of tires. Tires should not be an issue here tonight, but you do want to manage the ones that you have.
Gotcha. Christian Light does lead it under yellow. Christian has led the entire way, 35 of 250 laps thus far. Do want to thank our sponsors in the American Motorsports Association. Of course, Blackmagic Studios is the presenting sponsor of the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. If you need a iRacing paint, wrap, or new scheme for whatever you drive, check them out. They're on Facebook, Discord, and so forth. That's Blackmagic Studios. Also want to give a shout out to Archway Industrial Coatings, Admin Box, Rogue Energy, and Track Racer for their support of the American Motorsport Association. We are 35 laps of 250 down. Do have a great crowd tonight in the audience. If you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, and subscribe to the P1 Broadcasting Network. Be notified of all future broadcasts, and that includes tomorrow night. Sam and I are going to be live from Richmond, which is a smaller, older version of this, Sam.
Richmond is much more forgiving than this racetrack is when it's in these loose conditions. Richmond can be a much more forgiving.
Well, the nice thing about Richmond,
I think that there's farmers in Iowa that throw corn kernels out on this place and make it so slippery sometimes.
Well, it doesn't get a lot of use. So the stock cars come here once a year. The Indy cars come here once a year. And I don't know that there's anything else that uses this facility, really. And so the track does, as you say, get very dusty and dirty. Of course, the open wheel cars do come here first, and they suck a lot of that stuff just by the virtue of their construction, Sam. They suck a lot of that stuff out of the racing surface. But you're right. It does get pretty dusty around here. The race gets back underway. Christian Light jumps into the lead. The deuce, Greg Evans, has very quietly moved into that second spot, and there he goes around Ryan O'Donoghue down the back straightaway. Greg Evans is going to go to second, O'Donoghue third. The battle is Troy Carricker and Dylan Godinez for fourth and fifth. There's Godinez on the outside.
It's really heating up back there. Some of these drivers are really eager to get up to the front of the field. Matt Sisler is still trying to work his way back from an earlier incident. I have noticed that a lot of the incidents...
Whoa, Godinez gets loose in the middle of the corner. Dunwoody going to make it 3 wide. Dunwoody goes up the middle, gets by Godinez. He's going to get to the outside of Troy Carricker. Now, here's my question, Sam. In the open wheel stuff, the outside line is preferred because you can pin the guy down off of turn numbers 2 and 4. You can really pin him down there, not let him off the corner, and just scrub all kinds of speed and heat up his right front. And make it. Dunwoody.
Oh, they're both loose coming in. Dunwoody's still trying to catch the car. Kendall Paul is loose. He's in the middle of the racetrack. Sean Merriman misses him. Colby Pierce misses him.
Caution back on the speedway, and it's going to be for Kendall Paul in the number 78. David Dunwoody and Troy Carricker were doing the 1989 unlimited hydroplane dual flip that you saw in Sports Center for a long time. Meanwhile,
Unbelievable. Dunwoody had it saved, and then, but I'm sure if you're behind them, you're just thinking they're wrecking. They're going to wreck.
well, they nearly did. Sean Merriman gets into the back of Kendall Paul. Kendall doesn't hit anything, but he parks his Mustang sideways in turns 3 and 4, and that is going to bring out another caution, lap 40 of 250. Sam, we're going to have to get these guys to calm down a little bit, get this thing going, man.
Well, again, this was my biggest concern, was the starts and restarts and just being able to get into a rhythm. I'm really surprised of how many drivers are really pushing to make passes so early on restarts. I would be more comfortable. James Hodgson is not here tonight. The battling Brit is not here in the race tonight, but I really admire his race style, is that he doesn't push the issue. He lets the race come to him, and Iowa is a perfect example of that kind of approach working more often than not. Now, if this was a night race and there was much more grip, then I could completely understand being very aggressive. But if these guys would just allow the car to set in, and we could really see some good racing. And to go back and answer your earlier question, talking about the new asphalt. Now, if you go and if you've watched a lot of races online here at Iowa, you'll find that a lot of drivers prefer to run, like Christian Light was running one lane up during qualifying, and he was very comfortable. His wheel was steady, and that line was very good for him. And a lot of drivers are very comfortable with that. But there is a little bit of slight banking that goes into the next line that's above that. Some drivers are very comfortable on the bottom, where if they can get the car to turn, and they can gradually work into the throttle coming off. But those drivers that are on the top side, they can fight. If you look at that new asphalt, that dark strip goes out there's one lane that goes out toward the wall by itself. Some drivers just like to stay in that as long as they can stay in that to get grip coming off the corner.
They do, Sam, and more on the pavement, at least in the open wheel stuff, on the old surface here at Iowa. And I really wish, and I hope it's there. And if anybody from out there in iRacing is listening, and we know that they occasionally do, please bring back the old pavement in Iowa, and at least give us the option to have it as a legacy track. Because
I agree 100%.
Right, because the old pavement in Iowa, you see the light strip at the very top of the track before the patches in the corners. That was usable racetrack for both stock cars and Indy cars, and now you can't get up there. It's too slick to put your car up there, because there's so much grip in those middle lanes, and so basically it cut the racetrack in half, Sam. From a width standpoint,
I have seen some drivers that can split that.
Yeah,
they can just rattle that old and new pavement and have some success in saving tire. But you're exactly right. There's just a lot of people that get up into that light gray area, and there's just no grip, and they lose positions, or they spin the rear tires coming off the corners.
Yeah, they most certainly do. Greg Evans is around Ryan O'Donohue as we get back to green. He's in hot pursuit of the 96 Christian Light. Christy Light, the leader's mom, has joined us. Christy, your boy has led all 44 laps as we head.
He's been stellar tonight.
Yeah, he's been stellar. He's led all the laps thus far. We got a hornet's nest behind this front three, though. It is Light, Evans, O'Donohue. Troy Carricker has moved into fourth, and David Dunwoody has gotten to fifth. Behind him, you've got Dylan Godinez and Sean Merriman, Matt Sizzler, Colby Pierce, 2x2 down this front straightaway and into turn number 1.
Now you see, as I was saying, if you look at the leaders here, you'll see that those leaders are actually running two different. In turn 1, Christian Light went all the way down to the white line, and the drivers like to run that bottom line. myself, I think that there's more tire saving down there. But Greg Evans, that last time by, actually moved his car up just a car width above that, and he decided to run just above that line.
Well, and here comes the deuce to the outside.
Back and forth.
Yeah, here comes the deuce to the outside. He's got the Sim Gaming Expo machine wound up on the high line. Greg Evans is now ahead of Christian Light. Greg Evans is going to move into the lead, put Christian Light back to 7th. He led the first 46. Greg Evans takes the lead at the 47th circuit. Christian Light battles back hard on the inside, and the man with the best seat in the house for this, well, that's Ryan O'Donohue, and let's join him. He's going to get to the inside.
Christian Light's actually he's feeling things out here. He's trying to see what Greg Evans found up there in that upper line. He's trying some different things.
Whoa, that car is loose on entry. That tells me he's got a ton of rear brake bias in that car, Sam.
That's true. He did the same thing. Oh, and he gets loose off the corner as well.
Christy,
we may just be pushing the car a little hard here late in this run just to see how well he can keep up with the deuce.
Now, Christy, we didn't jinx him. I was knocking on my hardwood floor the entire time. No broadcaster's curse here, but it does look like he has a ton of rear brake bias, causing that car to kick loose on entry, and he's kind of lost his rhythm a little bit too. And that is something that is a thing here, Sam. This is very much a rhythm racetrack.
Well said, Mark. You're exactly right. It can be. Some drivers don't have to have marks here. They run the rhythm just based solely off of engine noise.
Caution on the Speedway. Caution. Donald Green sideways in turn number 3, and he's got the number 1 of Matt Mettler with him. And let's see what we've got here. I believe this is going to start with it's going to start with Barry Seaman. Wow. So this starts with a 55.
He's
Barry,
so far up the racetrack there.
Yeah, we got to see what happened with Barry Seaman. So here's Seaman, and he does have the meatball. He'll have to respect that and report to pit road.
He was trying to catch that car all the way down the backstretch. Everything he had, he was trying to catch that car down the backstretch, and then just bounced off the inside retaining wall and came right back up into the racing line in front of Matt Mettler, Donald Green. That's probably the end of Mettler's night. He hit him head on.
Well, and there you go.
Well, actually, he and Donald Green both hit him.
Boom. Well, and that was a hard lick for Seaman, hard hit for Mettler, hard hit for Green, hard hit for Seaman again. All 3 of those cars are going to be severely damaged at the very least.
Yes,
it's only Barry Seaman that has the meatball, and there's the puff of smoke, and I think that one's blowed up. But there's going to be some heavy damage for everybody involved here. We are going to have Christian Light come to the pit lane along with Matt Sisler. John Hutchins is in. Donald Green is going to take the opportunity to get on the pit lane. This has to be a strategy call, though, for Christian Light. He's going to come in, get the tires now. He knows there's a stage break coming in just 7 laps time, Sam.
Yeah, right now there's so many laps under caution. You feel like that's a gamble that you can take. You simply don't. You're not going to be turning as many green flag laps on those tires, and so you might be able to preserve them enough that you can get some track position in the next stage. So it's not a bad call in my opinion.
No, and who knows? I mean, it might work out that a heat cycle on him. He's basically going to restart the race on scuffed tires. It could be that scuffs are a little bit grippier, a little bit quicker, Sam. And so, we'll have to keep an eye on Christian Light. He's gone back to 11th place, and that's the other thing. He doesn't really lose a whole lot in that in that exchange. He goes back to 11th. He's not worried about stage points, so why not? And Christy, you listen to Mike Rigney. He's going to tell you to blame me. I'm just going to turn right back around and blame Mike. As a league organizer, he is subject to being blamed for things that are not his fault, right, Sam?
It seems to always be that way.
Like, Mike, it hasn't rained enough. My lawn's starting to die. It's all your fault. And actually, that's not true. My lawn is in immaculate condition, Sam. Mike and I were talking about that last night, as a matter of fact. we were giving each other lawn care tips.
Well, listen, I'm just telling you, Mike Rigney, and I stand by what I say. Mike Rigney could stick a popsicle stick in the soil and get it to grow into an orchard. I've never seen anyone that can grow things like Mike Rigney. He is definitely a West Virginia farmer, and I call him Mr. Green Jeans for a reason.
He is. He says he's on vacation, and it's not his fault. Well, it's his fault because he's on vacation.
You can walk away from administration, but administration always follows you.
That's right. I'll give you a great example, Sam. I was up for a promotion at work a few years back. I was you know where the administration found me? On a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean with the cell phone service turned off. They somehow found me with a phone call. Never forget that one.
Hey, as long as it's good news and not bad news.
It was very good news that day. Christy, we're not funny. We're funny looking. Donald Green has reported in that he's got 8 minutes of repair. He's going to hang in there and try to get a good finish. Just had nowhere to go, and we're with you,
Christy,
Donald.
They
we
don't
agree.
call me Sasquatch for nothing.
Ha ha! There's the green flag. We are racing one more time here at Iowa. We'll get in the grandstands. I wonder what the view is like from the Hy-Vee suites up there, Sam. You know where they got those things?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting story. If you look around the Iowa Speedway, and we'll jump up in the P1 airship to kind of show the fans what I'm talking about. You've got the main grandstand here, seats about 40,000, and then in turns 1 and 2, you can see those red Hy-Vee suites. Troy Carricker almost gets in the back of Ryan O'Donoghue. He's got David Dunwoody at his outside. Colby Pierce is pulled to the outside of Dylan Godinez.
Colby is trying that line I was telling you about, just kind of straddling that gray and that new asphalt so he can get that big run on the top side. And they're 3 wide behind him. Kendall Paul, Sean Merriman, Christian Light.
Yes, they are. We'll get back to Colby Pierce. Godinez goes to the outside. David Dunwoody has the number 94 of Troy Carricker pinned on the bottom. Dunwoody is trying that line. Now Godinez is up there. Sean Merriman has gone up to that high line. I think somebody's been listening to the broadcast. Dunwoody in the wall. Now he gets into
Godinez.
Everybody keeps it pointed.
No caution. Everyone keeps the cars pointed in the right direction.
Ooh-wee, Sam. Everybody keeps it going. Just a loss of track.
The pits are closed. We're getting close to the stage in here.
Yes, we are. We're going to jump back up to the front because Troy Carricker is under fire from Christian Light. Light, with the 4 fresh tires, has pulled himself back into 4th position, and he is hunting Troy Carricker for 3rd here in the stage. Now, remember, we're going to get the yellow when 10th place crosses the line. So Christian Light has got some time. Carricker, big loose off of turn 2. Christian Light's going to dive to the bottom, Sam.
With those fresh tires, he should be able to make this pass easy. Troy Carricker just stays way high on the racing surfaces. We're going to come to the stage in right about now. There we go.
There we go. The Deuce, Greg Evans, is your stage winner. Ryan O'Donoghue 2nd. Christian Light rides the new rubber to 3rd. Troy Carricker 4th, and Colby Pierce will round out the stage top 5. Sean Merriman, Kendall Paul, Matt Sisler, David Dunwoody, and how about Rick D? The Marty Robbins special brings it home 10th. That's good enough for a stage point, Sam. Here tonight, 61 of 250 complete in the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series Iowa Corn 250 here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. And remember, if you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all of our future iRacing broadcasts, including tomorrow night. We'll have the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series from Richmond, and that is a special one. It's the Cartoon Clash 250. You remember the Chevrolet commercials with the cartoons, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. Tasmanian Devil and the like.
Yeah, Matt Sisler is going to stay out here. Do find that pretty interesting. He's got 9 laps on his tires. Christian Light will also stay out. Of course, he pitted, but Sisler pitted under that same yellow, and so he's going to stay out. Sean Merriman also stayed out. So just kind of give everybody a review of who is still on the Speedway.
It's certainly, again, it affords the opportunity to take these pit strategies, tire strategies, and when you're at a track like Iowa and you have so many cautions, it can come to your fruition if everything plays out. But again, it's called strategy for a reason, and sometimes it's called gambling, and sometimes the two may actually meet in your favor.
You got that right, Sam. And sometimes you roll the dice and it comes up snake eyes. I'll tell you, a guy who's had the horseshoe in his trunk for most of this season, that's Greg Evans. He rides fourth. Evans at one point had reeled off. Several wins in a row. He is the winningest driver in the AMA Grand National Series. He's had his share of bad luck. Let's not say that. But Evans has won 8 times out of.
Yes.
Golly, Sam, how many races have we done? My goodness gracious. 12.
15, 16?
22. Tonight is round 23.
Gotcha.
I was reading my contract earlier today for no reason, as it refers to this series and these drivers, and we're calling 57 races, Sam. So we're about halfway. We're a little bit more than halfway done, about 2/3 done with the season, and we can't wait. We can't wait for next season either. It's going to be a good time, ain't it, Sam?
Well, I don't know if I'll be in the broadcast booth. I might actually be on the track.
You're gonna make me sit up here by myself, Sam? I'll tell you what. We'll do what I talked about with Gary Godso earlier. He was wanting to drive a little bit. Gary is, of course, the proprietor here at P1, and he's been talking about racing some more. And I keep telling him he needs to do that, and so he was saying he wants to contest the entire IndyCar Oval Series next season. And I said, well, Sam, I said, well, Gary, I tell you what, you drive him, because he normally calls that top split. I said, you drive him, and I'll work the booth. How about that?
Ah.
So maybe that can be the case, Sam. We get old Gary in the booth. The green flag is ready to come out. Christian Light, Sean Merriman, Merriman, and Sizzler on the old tires. Merriman does not get a good jump on that outside. Now, Light and Sizzler pitted 13 laps ago, and a chunk of that is under yellow. So
look at the run. Troy Carricker gets 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to try and get around the deuce as well. He is hungry tonight. That 94 is.
Whoa,
hungry.
Ryan O'Donohue, big wiggle.
Ryan O'Donohue way up the racetrack.
Yeah, he did the old dipsy doo dah do right up the racetrack. He didn't hit anything, but Ryan O'Donohue loses a ton of track position. He's going to go from 3rd back to 7th. We're watching the battle for 3rd. Sean Merriman holds it on 50-lap old tires, Sam, and he's got Greg Evans and Troy Carricker right behind him, and they want to get by bad caution, and that's going to be John Hutchins. Let's see what we've got going here.
Sharp is involved.
Not Sharp.
Oh, Hutchins has got terrible damage. The entire right front wheel and tire is out. Oh, that's probably. Oh, and Brian Sharp just went sideways to avoid not knowing where Hutchins was going to go.
Yes, he did. Joseph Klein takes it to the apron, but that is a hard lick. John Hutchins did exactly the same thing that Ryan O'Donohue did. O'Donohue saved it. John Hutchins did not, and we are back under caution.
Wow, that damage is extensive. That right front is completely destroyed.
Yeah, he's got the meatball, so he's going to have to come to pit lane. He's definitely going to have to come to pit lane. And this works out in the favor of Sean Merriman. Now, the thing about playing poker, Sam, is you got to know when to fold. When is Sean Merriman going to come and get those tires? He's been out 52 laps on his current set.
Well,
Now,
we were talking about gambling. I was talking about gambling and strategies just a while ago. And if there was ever one that uh, would be willing to jump on board with gambling and strategies, it would be Sean Merriman. I mean, after all, he won at Dover because he made some strategic calls and it worked out in his favor, and he won driving away in that event. So you never know what's going on in Sean Merriman's mind if he's thinking that he might have that magic, be able to pull that rabbit out of his hat again. So I enjoy when these drivers step out of their comfort zones.
I do too, Stam. Speaking of stepping outside of your comfort zone, I just got a text from my wife, and we're gonna make Christy Miller Light laugh a little bit. So for the fans that have followed the AMA for a while, I have 3 kids. My wife and I 3 kids. They are 9, 8, and 6. My 6-year-old apparently earlier today, while I was at work, ran next door, and we have a great relationship with our neighbors. He runs into my neighbor's house, runs straight into her bathroom, uses the bathroom, and leaves. And she asked him what he was doing, and she said, well, he had to use the potty. So he went next door to use the bathroom. Now, fans, there are 3 toilets in my house, and I assure you all of them work. I have no idea why my 6-year-old ran next door to use the commode. And
well, if your lawn's in as pristine condition as you say, he's probably scared to death to try it anywhere else.
My goodness gracious. The things that kids do, right? We are under caution, lap 70 of 250 here. Christian Light has made his way back to the lead. Matt Sisler.
Yeah. John Hutchins he's done for the night. He had to take it back into the garage area.
Yeah, he's going to call it quits. Barry Seaman has also retired. So 17 cars are out on the racing surface. Matt Metler is keeping on. He's 22 laps down, but he can still pass.
Well, he has
Seaman.
positions he can make up now if he stays.
Donald
can avoid.
Donald Green doing the same thing, and he even said it. He was going to come back out and try to make up, try to salvage a good finish. And look, we've seen that be effective. Donald Green, if he circulates and stays out of trouble, he's 10 laps down. He may very well walk out of here with a top 15 finish. Well, he's going to walk out here with a top 15 finish. He might walk out here with a top 10 finish, depending on future events, Sam.
Let's hope these guys will get it together, and we'll see some green flag racing before it's over.
I most certainly would love to see that, Sam. Lap 72 of 250 goes in the books. Christian Light jumps out in the lead, and he has got big trouble coming on the outside, Sam. Matt Sisler is loose, but he is up there, and he is going quick.
Again, the deuce will be a spectator here as these 2 cars are side by side coming off of turn 4. Oh, Sisler catches a little bit of the wall. No harm, no foul.
Hop on board with Greg Evans. This is
watch these 2 significant lines. Sisler decides he's going to run that middle high side. Christian Light on the bottom. Yes. Now the thing is that if these drivers try to race those lines door to door, you're taking a lot of risk if you're on that high side. You're definitely not going to be the winner in the event that something goes wrong.
Whoa, Christian Light just disappeared from view.
Sir, I do not have him on the server at the moment.
And let's hope that Christian Light is going to get that connection back, because to DC.
He's still talking in the server. He realizes that he has some issues, but his car is still not on the track.
Turn the Netflix off. Turn the Wi-Fi on the refrigerator off. Make sure get that kid all the bandwidth he can handle.
What a shame! He has been so fast tonight. If he cannot. He was talking with his car not on track, but now this is detrimental. This is too long of an amount of time that we do not see his car.
Well, it's popped him back in 10th place. So somehow
it did, didn't it?
Yeah,
did he lose that?
I don't know if Well, it's better than a disconnection.
Yeah, he is back on the track in 10th spot in front of Eric Quarter.
Yeah,
he may have he realized he may have had a quality issue and caught it and pulled off to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yes, and smart move
I
from
did not see him come back on the track. So I'm glad that he's back. I mean, he's got a fast car and he has a chance here tonight. So I'm glad that he's back, but he's going to have to race to get back up to the front now.
Yes, he most certainly is. Speaking of racing, Kendall Paul, Sean Merriman, David Dunwoody, they're going after it 5th, 6th, and 7th. And there's that battle. Kendall Paul reigns supreme over Merriman and Dunwoody. But we'll keep an eye on that. We're also going to keep an eye on the front because the front 4 are nose to tail right together. That's Matt Sizzler, Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donohue, Troy Carricker, and they have separated from Kendall Paul by about 1.3 seconds over 5th place Kendall Paul. Sean Merriman, David Dunwoody has now gone underneath Merriman, so put Dunwoody to 6th, Merriman back to 7th. Merriman's still out there, 62 lap old tires. David Dunwoody drifts it down the backstretch, nearly catches the wall one more time.
Oh, Dylan Godinez he pulls over and lets the leaders by. Dylan has really had a tough night tonight as he goes one lap down now.
Yeah, and he's got severe damage. You can see it to the right front of the 08 machine. I don't think that one is quite up to full.
Roy Carricker gets sideways in 3 and 4.
Sam,
what a save!
Watch this.
What a save!
That is
wow.
This is worth the replay for Troy Carricker. Normally I wouldn't replay one of these, but my goodness gracious, Sam, watch this save. Troy Carricker had that car looking like it was at a Formula D event somewhere in Southern California. He gets that car big sideways, pulls it onto the apron, and saves it. Wow. And we've got a battle for the lead. Matt Sizzler has made it back to the front. He is 10 lap older tires, and he doesn't care. He's going to pull it to the outside of the deuce. Doesn't get it done, and that's going to let Ryan O'Donohue come down to the inside. What was once a 4-way battle is no less intense, but we've lost one of the contenders. Troy Carricker.
Sizzler gets down on the apron. That is so sketchy down there. You got the left side underneath the white line, and that could really throw that car into a tizzy. I was surprised that he was able to race it down there like that, but he's got it under control, and he's still hanging on to 2nd place.
So Matty Wagner just checked in the chat, Sam. He said, boy, does he feel better now. Did he do as I instructed him last night? Took 2 aspirin, slept it off, and called me back today? Is that what he's checking in to tell him that my remedy works, Sam?
Which remedy? Oh, for him? If it had anything to do with his finish last night in the Horizon IndyCar Series, then I probably would have slept all day long today because he was so close to the win.
Yes, he was. That was a fun one to call. I know you've got other commitments on Wednesday nights, but had I not, I might have called you. That turned in. That was a lonely booth, Sam.
You did a great job last night, Mark. I watched the broadcast, and considering you were by yourself, I thought you did a stellar job in calling the race.
But Matty Wagner, we're watching Matt Sizzler. It's a different Matt. He's going to drop to the inside of Ryan O'Donohue. O'Donohue made the move, got around Sizzler for second after Sizzler had challenged for the lead. Donald Green is going to get out of the way of the leaders. He's going to have to be careful, though. Sizzler!
Oh, they make contact.
Ooh, that's a donut in the side of the 14, and he's going to get another.
They make contact again! Oh, heavens, it's so close.
My goodness.
And that just sends Kendall Paul.
Yeah, all that does is let Kendall Paul catch right up to the back of those two, but Donald Green slowed him down. Meanwhile, I do want to check back in on Christian Light. He did have the connection issue, dropped him back to 8th place, thankfully not disconnected, but Christian Light went from the lead to 10th. He has moved back into 8th. He has steadily been running laps that are equal to those of Evans and O'Donohue, and so Christian Light is coming back through the field. Meanwhile, Matt Sizzler slides off of turn number 2, grabs the outside retaining wall, and that's going to let Kendall Paul drop to the bottom, move Kendall Paul into 3rd, put Sizzler back to 4th.
Yeah, Kendall Paul, he's been coming up through the field like a lightning bolt. He is eager to get up to the front and see what he can do at among the leaders right now. So Kendall Paul is showing a lot of speed with these tires that have gotten some heat in them.
Absolutely. Do want to thank everybody that's tuned in here tonight on the P1 Broadcasting Network. We've got a great crowd. As always, if you haven't done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video. Ring the bell to subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified of all future iRacing events like this one. Tomorrow night, we're going to be at the Cartoon Clash 250 for the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. It's going to be Sam and I live at 8:20. Do also want to give a shout out to our friends over on the Elite Racing Network. Logan Edwards right now leading Liam O'Sullivan and Hunter Ingrave, lap 81 of 110 in their race. That is the Elite Grand Prix of Portland. Special shout out to Andrew Wood. Wood running in the Power Slide station wagon. He currently lies 9th in that race. He might have a little bit of jet lag. He's been over competing in the World Karting Association World Championships in Germany the last week. And so he didn't quite make the final. He said his goal was to make the finals, and he was like 8 positions short. And I told him, man, just to even be invited to something like that is a major.
Well, it's an honor.
Yeah. It's a major thing.
It says a lot. It's a testament to his skill and abilities and racing, and so what an honor.
Yeah, what an honor. And there are very few Americans that are even invited to go over there. Of course, the most famous American that's won it, Lake Speed of NASCAR fame, won it. And the trivia question to that is always who finished second to Lake Speed when he went over and won the World Karting Championship.
Race?
Yeah, who finished second to Lake Speed, or who's the famous driver that he beat? I don't know that they finished second, but who's the famous driver that he beat for the World Karting title?
Tony Stewart.
Lake Speed beat Tony Stewart wasn't alive, I don't think, when Lake Speed won the World Karting. He might have been alive, but he was very small. It was some guy named Ayrton Senna.
Oh.
Was who Lake Speed beat to win that World Karting title. And so that's like always the answer to the trivia question. And I wondered why Lake Speed came back and went stock car racing. Like with that World Karting title, he should have been in Formula One, but he came back, went NASCAR racing, won in Darlington in his own car. Stout career. But congratulations to Andrew Wood on being invited to go and doing our country proud. 8 spots from making the finals, and that's pretty awesome. So congratulations to him. If you want, you can put those races up side by side. There's no limit on how many YouTube screens you can have open, fans. Check out the Elite Racing Network and the Elite Grand Prix of Portland. Of course, the big one, the big open wheel race, the next big one coming up is the PRI Hoosier 500. That's going to happen in December. P1's going to have all the qualifying for that one. Sam, I'm debating on whether or not I should bring the 69 out of the garage for that one. What do you think?
Well, anytime that you have that inclination, you're only going to do yourself justice if you do it.
Yeah, but it's Indianapolis, and it's a lot of testing. You know how us open wheel guys grind over Indianapolis. Speaking of grinding, Greg Evans is grinding away the field here. He staked himself to a 1.4 second lead over Ryan O'Donoghue. Kendall Paul is third, and Kendall Paul is catching Ryan O'Donoghue. That was once over a second. It's now down to half a second. Kendall Paul is coming. Matt Sizzler is kind of fading away from Kendall Paul a little bit. He's stayed within. It has steadily grown that advantage as Kendall Paul gets to lap traffic, and then Troy Carricker runs along in 5th. Colby Pierce is 6th, and there's Colby in the 42. David Dunwoody runs right behind him in the 28. He is 7th. Christian Light continues in 8th, and that's impressive for Christian just simply because, Sam, he's on 10-lap older tires than everybody else. So
Christian clearly had speed tonight, and he's proved that he can wheel that car around this racetrack. But he in the next couple, we still have 20 laps left in this stage, and behind him is a veteran race car driver who online racer he has been eagerly chomping at the bit, waiting for long runs because Rick D. Fallis is actually that is the premise that he likes to run under, is to have long runs, and that he saves a lot of tire, and he's very good at that. So he may not have a lot of speed on the front end of a run, but at the end he wants to be catching people, and that looks like what he may be doing here with Christian Light.
Yes, he does. The Chartereuse, and what are the colors? Chartreuse, and what is it, Sam? Help me out.
Lemon yellow.
Lemon yellow are the colors on that number 10, the throwback tribute to Marty Robbins. Runs along in 9th, and then Sean Merriman is 10th. In 11th, you've got...
And Sean also has equally as much older tires as Christian Light.
Oh, well, Sean, now I want you to file this...
Actually, he has much older tires.
I want you to file this away, Sam. If Sean Merriman makes it to the end of this stage, he is on 86 lap old tires. If he makes it another 17 laps, that would be 103. As we see Brian Sharp come into the pit lane, that would be 103, and that would tell me you might be able to do that final stage without a stop.
Oh my heavens, that's insane.
So let's file that away. Eric Quarter, there he is in the 77. He is 11th. Joseph Klein is 12th. He just went one lap down. Brian Sharp has pulled the tree-bitten 125 into the pit lane. Donald Green is still circulating. He is 11 laps down. Dylan Godinez has pulled his car off. He is retired. Sean Roberts, he'll continue to circulate in the 13. He is 16 laps down. He can make up spots, though, Sam.
He sure can.
You want to keep going and make up those spots. Donald Green right now has made up, since his accident, has made up 4 spots, and that's a huge thing, Sam. Best battle on the racetrack? That's going to be Rick D and Christian Light, and there they are. This is 8th and 9th.
Rick Fallis is not one to really push the issue. He's always usually a very conservative driver per se, and so he's once he's caught Christian, he's just been content just to kind of ride there and allow an opportunity to kind of open itself up to him. He's been trying some different lines to get some big runs coming off of turn 4, and that looks like what he may be just kind of experimenting with here. Is Christian Light drives deep into turn 1 there, and that may open the door up for Fallis to make a big move off of 2 here.
Yeah, it does. Rick D is going to drive to the inside of the 96. Christian Light move Rick Fallis to 8th. Christian Light will fall back to 9th. We do have, Colby Pierce has been steadily catching Troy Carricker. This is Colby Pierce, and we're going to jump into the passenger seat of the number 42. Colby Pierce is trying to chase down Troy Carricker. Carricker having a great run tonight. He's made it. He's been steadily in the top 5. He's been fast at times. But Troy Carricker has steadily been losing about half a tenth to a tenth a lap to Colby Pierce. Pierce is trying to close the stage out strong. He's got 10 more laps to see if he can move into the top 5 here, and get one of what would be one of his best stage finishes of the season, Sam.
Colby's trying that line that we have seen several drivers trying to utilize, is where that they go in with that Colby, he's been experimenting up high most of the night anyway, but his entry, look how high his entry is going into 1, and then he tries to chop that corner exit off so that he can straighten the wheel out sooner and get back into the throttle. But even if the wheel is straight, when you go through that transition from the new asphalt to the old, there's an uneasiness there that causes a lot of tire spin. So I do know that changing your line and working on some of those things can make a difference sometimes, but it can be equally as precarious as any other opportunity that you want to make when you're trying to make passes.
Most certainly can. Navigating the lapped car, the number 77 of Eric Quarter. Colby Pierce has got it down to 0.2 of a second, or about 4 car lengths. 5 car lengths now separate those two. We are looking at the best battle on the racetrack. This is Colby Pierce. I do want to point out Rick D just got past or is fighting with David Dunwoody, and that's right behind them. Dunwoody has used up, Sam, the grip in the Goodyears that reside on the back of that 28.
No one has utilized their tires as much as David Dunwoody has tonight.
No, they haven't.
They're door to door.
They are door to door, and there they are. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to point out in the Dunwoody machine, and it may not be on it because he's gone to a different scheme here, Sam. There it is. So if you look at the dash of David Dunwoody, the Cartoon Clash has kind of a special meaning within that Black Magic team. Of course, I'm a member of that. I'm a member of that team on the endurance side. Tweety Bird on the dash. Brian Sharp runs along with Papa Smurf on his car. There's a cartoon character on each one of their cars. Mine is not a Looney Tune. Mine is a plucked chicken, but that's a whole different story, Sam. Rick D has gotten past David Dunwoody, so move Rick to 7th, and this would be his.
Well, Dunwoody's not going away. He's going to race him for this spot here in the closing portions of this stage. Dunwoody is trying some new lines, and he's not going to allow Fallis to just pull away.
Well, he's also
he gets a handful going down the backstretch.
He's also not got any
and
grip.
He's still loose on entry.
He managed to wreck that car for 3/4 of a mile and not hit anything, and that's pretty impressive, Sam. He's going to dive underneath Eric Corder, and he's going to have to rebuild that run. But I'd say the tires on that baby are just about shot. Kendall Paul is.
I don't know what's screaming louder, the rear tires or the direct drive wheel that's in his hands.
How about Tweety Bird on the dash? He did almost see an accident. Kendall Paul has pulled right up on the back of Ryan O'Donoghue, and that's been steady. Kendall Paul, as it stands right now, Sam, Kendall is the fastest machine on the racing surface.
Well, that's exciting to know, is that he has long run speed, because when we get into this final stage, and folks, we have not even got to the halfway portion of this race. So, I mean, once we get into this last stage, and we will be having a caution in the next few laps, we could very well see who the masters of tire saving are in the final portion of this race, the final half.
Yes, we will. When we do get to the caution break, we will pause for some messages from Black Magic Studios, and then we'll come back and we'll bring you the second half of this event. Kendall Paul does get around Ryan O'Donoghue, so that is the battle for second, and it has been temporarily won by Kendall Paul. We're going to move back because Colby Pierce is now all over the rear of the 94 machine. I think Troy Carricker has a rearview mirror full of Colby Pierce.
Well, Troy's already proved that he wants to race for every position tonight. He's trying to get everything he can out of that car, and so I'm not surprised if he'll try to hold Colby Pierce off here, at least for stage points.
Yeah,
and Colby Pierce goes all the way to the wall that time on exit.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do it for much.
Ground that he made up.
He doesn't have much longer to do it because Christian Light is across the line, and there is the stage caution. So Troy Carricker is going to hold off Colby Pierce. Your stage: Greg Evans, Kendall Paul, Ryan O'Donoghue, Matt Sizzler, Troy Carricker, the top five. Then Pierce, Fallis, Dunwoody, Merriman, and Christian Light will hold on with the old tires in 10th. Sean Merriman, Sam, made it 104 laps. How about that? 104 laps.
Well, it's possible to do that. It really is possible to do that. Is it the best choice? Who knows? If we get a bunch of cautions in the second half of this race, he could very well, have an extra set of tires that could come out to benefit him. But I think there's some drivers that have only taken one set of tires so far.
That is very true. As we are halfway, we're going to pause for a couple of moments for these messages from Black Magic Studios.
Welcome back, everybody. Back here to Iowa. Welcome back to Iowa, where we're getting ready to start the final stage of this AMA Grand National Series Xfinity NASCAR race. And so please, by all means, stick around. We still have a half a race of action to go. Greg Evans in the deuce is on the pole starting position here on this last restart. Kendall Paul, who worked his way up through the field to get into the second position, is now on the outside. Ryan O'Donoghue and Matt Stisler, who both have shown a lot of speed tonight, are in the third and fourth position, and Troy Carricker runs out the top five. Yet there are still some fast drivers behind them. The pace car is coming through 3 and 4 and will be turning off the racetrack, and we will go back to green flag racing.
Green flag, green flag.
Greg Evans in the restart zone. He gets a big jump this time as he pulls out way ahead, and Ryan O'Donoghue is going to take advantage of that third starting spot as he and Kendall Paul go into turn 1 door to door, and Troy Carricker and Matt Stisler will do the same and follow suit behind. We'll see if things will get sorted out here as we're looking back through the field. Everyone seems to be making it through so far. Matt Stisler with a big run down to the bottom of turn 4. And he'll take over the second position. Christian Light, who started well past or in the 6th spot, actually now he is in 3rd position. Some drivers are so comfortable with these cooler tires, and those are two drivers that apparently are willing to take those risks here on this restart, and they're both pushing the deuce as they come down the front straightaway. Christian Lai will be on the inside, and he will jump down to the bottom of the racetrack as they go through 1 and 2. Matt Sisler will get in behind the 96 and follow him. Big run from the 35 as they go down the back stretch. Greg Evans falls into 3rd, but he's under pressure now from Ryan O'Donoghue. Man, what an exciting restart here. Sisler and Light are just going at it. Those are two hungry drivers here tonight. Stisler washes up the racetrack this time, and now he goes way to the top, and now he gets a big run. But Christian Light, who led about the first 50 laps of our event tonight, has now found himself back on the point.
It was the first 47 laps, Sam, if I recall. But Christian Light's had a fast car the entire day, and he is after what can only be deemed as a chaotic restart. He's moved himself back into the lead.
Oh, those two drivers, Matt Sisler and Christian Light. As I said, some drivers are very comfortable with a loose race car, and they don't. Cool tires or not, they had determined they were going to go back to the front, and that's exactly what they did. Kendall Paul, who was the fastest car on the track at the end of the second stage, is settled in back in 8th position as he battles back here with Colby Pierce and Sean Merriman.
We'll go ahead and get the camera on Colby and Sean. There they are. Kendall Paul has moved into that mix. He's dropped underneath the number 18 machine of Sean Merriman, and Kendall Paul are going to try to take that spot away, but no. Sean Merriman too tough on the outside. Rick D holds steady in 9th. He moved in to that 9th spot by virtue of some great long run speed. And Sam, if ever there was a time for long run speed, this is it. 118 laps to go now.
This will be the stage. Yeah, this will be the stage. Because a lot of drivers will want to. They may split this up into two segments. They may really kind of, drivers like Christian Light and Matt Sisler, they may just look at this and say that they're going to go a very aggressive 50, 60 laps, and then maybe push the last half of this run with a fresh set of tires and just kind of split it in half. Some drivers may look at it that way. Some drivers who want to run the long run and have a shorter pit stop near the end of the race, they may run it that way. So pit strategies can play out here in the final stage.
Yeah, they most certainly can. Who's going to try to do this nonstop? Who's going to who's going to split it in two, make the green flag stop. You're going to lose, what, 2-3 laps here if you make a stop under green, Sam?
Oh yeah, 2 laps for sure. Especially if you're pitting from I would say anywhere from maybe 8th on back if you're not careful. And so if you may want to maintain as much contact with the lead cars as you can. But we only have 9 cars on the lead lap right now. David Dunwoody actually has gone a lap down. I don't know where he lost that lap, but he's actually showing a lap down, as well as Joseph Klein. And those 2 cars, the 7 and the 28, will be fighting for the lucky dog spot should there be a caution that comes out. There's a really good race up front. Rhino Donahue, and he is really pushing Matt Sisler, and behind him is Troy Carricker. All these drivers in the top 4 positions are hungry for a win.
Yeah, none of them have.
No, none of them.
Well, Rhino Donahue did finally break through, but you're right, Sam.
Well, that's true.
You're right, Sam. I mean, Christian Light has been absent several weeks. He'd love a win. Matt Sisler has not yet won in this series. We've seen him win on the channel, but not in this series. Ryan O'Donohue, he got his first taste of victory lane, and he'd like to have more. Troy Carricker has not visited. And then you've got Greg Evans lurking. Greg Evans has been to victory lane more than anybody else. Currently, he runs along in 5th, but you do have 4 hungry drivers. Now, we kind of saw this same kind of a thing in the last stage. Troy Carricker burned up the tires and fell backward about 40 laps into it, Sam?
Yeah, you will actually start seeing time differentials among drivers even after about 20 to 25 laps. But 40, just depending how hard you're driving the car and utilizing those rear tires, it could really go away quick by lap 40, and you're really struggling with a push condition after lap 40. And some drivers, they'll start running into that problem very quickly if they're pushing too hard early on in the run. These leaders have been fighting so hard. It's just allowed Greg Evans, who's steadily just been running exact lap times, lap in, lap out, and he has caught these front 4. And behind Greg Evans is a very patient Kendall Paul, who is going to follow suit and run his pace, his race. And I think at Iowa, that is the best approach to running these cars here.
Yes, it is. Troy Carricker drops to the inside. He tries to make the move on Matt Sisler. No cigar going through turns 1 and 2. Christian Light still leads it from Sisler, Carricker, O'Donohue, and Greg Evans has moved into the 5th position. Kendall Paul is a distant 6th. He's about half a second back from this lead. What is it? 5-some?
Look at that, folks. Look at that. Look at that. We've top 5 cars are nose to tail here at Iowa.
Yeah, they're all over each other. Matt Sisler flirts with that apron, and that's going to allow Christian Light to draw away just a little bit momentarily. Troy Carricker, he's going to work to that outside. O'Donohue follows him up there. No can do. That's going to let Greg Evans slide underneath Ryan O'Donohue. They'll do battle for 4th.
I don't know that Ryan will give him much of a fight here. Ryan, very cerebral driver, and he may want to just get in and follow behind the Deuce and see where he may be strong and that he can work on his line as well. Now, I will tell you, there's a lot to learn when you get around fast drivers like these drivers. Oh, and Troy Carricker really gets a little loose, and that slows his momentum down dramatically and allows the Deuce to catch him off of exit here. And now they're going to be door to door coming off of 2, but Carricker gets a big run on the high side, and he gets loose again. He's in the wall. This time he saves it again, and Ryan O'Donohue will get by on the low side.
There you go. Now Kendall Paul is going to try to follow suit. Kendall Paul will drop it under Troy Carricker, and we'll see if Kendall Paul can make the move into 5th, and he will do so with ease. So Carricker, not quite 40 laps. He made it 23, and then that car got loosened up or tightened up. If I refer to my Dan Gurney rules of handling, push is understeer. Understeer is that the front of the car wants to hit the wall. Correct, Sam?
That's exactly right.
If you hear Sam use terms like loose or I say understeer, or oversteer, excuse me, that means,
Oversteer.
yeah, that means the rear wants to hit the wall.
And now you're fighting the wheel back and forth in order to to stabilize the back of the car as it becomes very loose.
Correct. And usually oversteer or loose is caused by the application of too much power. Power is how fast you hit the wall. Horsepower is how fast you hit the wall. Torque is how far you take the wall with you once you've hit it. We have now exhausted the Dan Gurney rules for handling in a race car.
Oh, here we go again. Matt Sisler, Christian Light, door to door as we go down the front stretch. They are almost touching as they are so close on entry into one.
Yes, they
Christian
are.
Light washes up the racetrack enough that Matt Sisler is now going to acquire the lead going down the back stretch. And again, Greg Evans is in the catbird seat watching all of this unfold right before him.
Yes, he is. And I do have a question, Sam, and this is just because I don't have the ability to do so. We're going to jump on board with Greg Evans. But you can take a look at the connections and see if Christian Light is still experiencing any sort of latency or quality issues maybe.
Well, actually, I've been kind of keeping that since his connectivity issues earlier on that sent him back from first all the way to 10th. I've been kind of watching that off and on and sporadically, and everyone in the servers, their connections are very solid. Some drivers have a little better ping than others, but for the most part, the quality is very, very consistent among all the drivers that remain in the race.
There you go. The reason I say that is Christian Light there's a gauge, of course, for that, and this is for the benefit of Christy and everybody else in the audience. There's a gauge that iRacing gives us that you can tell your quality and your ping, and so sometimes if a driver, your latency, and so sometimes if a driver knows that his connection is kind of sour a little bit, they will not race nearly as hard. They'll kind of do what Christian Light did, which is give a lot of extra room. And so I wondered if maybe that was playing up or he was cognizant of that, but it seems as though that's not the case. Meanwhile, he's fallen into the clutches of Kendall Paul and Ryan O'Donohue. Sisler and Evans have separated themselves, and we're about to have a battle for the lead, Sam.
Oh, no question. Greg Evans is lurking behind Matt Sisler here, and and Sisler kind of touches the wall and makes a little kiss there on the back stretch, and that allows Greg Evans to close in on the high side. And I'll tell you who is not waiting around for the tires to come in on the long run, and that is Kendall Paul. Kendall Paul has decided he's going to get up here and he's going to race amongst these leaders, and he's going to see if he can keep pace with those two cars that are ahead of him, especially the deuce of Greg Evans, who is now, Evans is in the wall this time, and now they're going to be stopped. He's going to fall in line behind Stifler going through 3 and 4.
A rare mistake from Greg Evans. The graze of the wall, and that's going to let Matt Sisler get away a little bit. It's also going to allow Kendall Paul in the 78 to close right up on the back of the deuce, but Kendall Paul now wiggles and kind of touches the wall going down the back straight. We are 32 laps into this run, and we are already seeing the handling on these machines go away. I'll tell you who doesn't mind this long run. That's Rick D. Rick Fallis has climbed into 7th spot. He goes around Troy Carricker. He's going to bring Colby Pierce with him. And next up in his personal hit parade is going to be Sean Merriman. That number 10, the Charteries, and help me out, Sam.
I'm sorry, I was listening to some comms. What was your question?
I said it's Charteries, and what, Sam?
Chartreuse and lemon yellow.
Chartreuse and lemon yellow for the Marty Robbins hued machine. Rick D proved over the last 60 lap run that if you get a long stretch of green flag action, he's got the car to beat. He's climbed into 7th spot, and he is very rapidly catching Sean Merriman, almost a 10.5 quicker that last time through. He's also faster than Christian Light and running the same speeds as Sisler, Evans, Kendall Paul, and Ryan O'Donohue in front. Rick D is coming, Sam.
Well, Rick Fallis is, he's a long-time veteran. He's been racing a long time. He is a teammate of mine in endurance racing. We've been racing endurance racing together for a number of years. He's a good friend, and this is the kind of racing that plays into his talents. It's just he likes long runs, and he tries to utilize that experience to his benefit. So I'm not surprised to see that the 10 would be able to maintain some speed on older tires, because he's really good at saving them. But Colby Pierce is going to be racing up here as well. Colby Pierce has been catching Fallis in regards to lap times also. So his lap time this past time by was a tenth faster than Rick Fallis, but they're both catching Sean Merriman. And surprising enough, Christian Light has fallen back to fifth. So I don't know if Christian has just decided to pace himself. Oh, I think we've had some. Nope. As we begin to talk about Rick Fallis and him catching Sean Merriman, they make contact in 3 and 4. Apparently, Rick Fallis was. I don't know if Sean Merriman was going in the pits. And he was calling for a pit entrance, and apparently Fallis missed that. He missed it, and he wound up getting into the back of the 18.
Yes, they are, and that's a tough break
so
for
now
Rick.
That knocks those two drivers back considerably. I mean, now Fallis is 10 seconds. Sean Merriman is 17 seconds off the pace now. It's definitely going to affect them in the long run.
It does, and poor Rick. I mean, his last lap, he had been catching the leaders, Sam. Rick D, that last time through 25.7. So he's there, and there is very clearly damage, and you watched it here live on P1. There's clearly the nose of that number 10 is center punched, and so there is definitely damage, and it is definitely affecting Rick, and he is going to want a caution flag to come out here shortly, sooner rather than later, so he can get that fixed up. Meanwhile, we're going to rejoin the battle at the front. Evans leads it from Sizzler. Third place, though, Rhino, Donahue, and Kendall Paul are having at it, Sam.
There's some great racing up front. Greg Evans is taking over the lead from Matt Sisler, but Kendall Paul, again, at the end of the second stage, he was the fastest car on the racetrack, and so we're going to see if Kendall actually has that same plan here in this particular final stage, and green flag stops are going to be coming into play. I can't help but think that Sean Merriman maybe was going to try and pit early and see how much track position he could have made up with fresher tires, but now those two drivers are actually he and Rick Fallis are now mired up back in the field. David Dunwoody, Joseph Klein, Sean Merriman, all are a lap down. Rick Fallis is 11 seconds off of the lead, and he is the last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, and that's the thing,
Shout out to Sean Robert, who was he was the very first caution of the race, and he has stuck it out here tonight and wound up to move himself up into the 11th or 12th position, even though he's 16 laps down. So a big shout out to Sean Roberts for sticking it out and just turning lap after lap. And he was caught into a lot of the early race incidents.
Yeah, and look, Donald Green went until he couldn't go anymore. You know, he checked into Donald has checked into the chat, and he said, look, you know, he took the 6 behind the wall. He burned up all his tires, which, you know, sometimes if you've got a damaged race car for whatever reason, if it's towed out or whatever, it'll still drive, but it'll burn one corner. And he simply ran out of tires, and that happens. But Donald, I mean, he's still going to be credited with what it appears to be a 13th place, a 13th place finish. Sam, when you talk for a living and you can't use your words, it's a bad day at the beach, my friend.
Agreed.
My goodness gracious, you make a living with your voice. I do with mine as well, and there's nothing more frustrating than not being able to put together a complete sentence on demand, is there?
There's been times where I've fell into the same pattern of not being able to enunciate, pronunciate, or even to utter or moan, groan proper English. So I get it.
I'm not speaking in tongues, friends. I just can't find my words, apparently. Colby Pierce has pulled up on the back
And
of
even
Kristen
if he
Light.
did, I wouldn't have the interpretation. So
Sam does not speak Southern Indiana, believe it or not. Christian
no,
Light
sure don't.
is in 5th. Colby Pierce is 6th. This is the closest battle on the racetrack. Pierce is pulled up to the back of Light, and let's see if he can do anything with him. That is, of course, the AC Delco livery on Colby Pierce from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Busch cars from the late 90s, it appears.
And which livery is that?
That would be on the 42 of Colby Pierce.
Oh, yes, the AC Delco car. Yeah, Steve Park drove that car. Dale Jr. drove that car.
Didn't David Green drive that car for a little bit also?
He sure did. Sure did. There were several drivers that actually raced under that sponsorship.
There were, speaking of sponsorships, and we've kind of touched on it. Probably there have not been throughout all of sport. There have probably not been sponsorships that were more appropriate for individuals like Dale Jr. and Budweiser, Scott Dixon and a bank. I think that one is pretty self-explanatory. Clint Boyer and Jack Daniels went together like gasoline and matches. Can you think of any others, Sam, that were pretty appropriate and iconic?
Well, as far as iconic sponsors?
Right, that were just appropriate. Like you looked at the sponsor and said, man, that fits the driver's personality to a T. Not just iconic, but...
Oh, I never really thought of it in that aspect. I mean, of course, I agree with you of all the ones that you named, but I never really looked at it or thought of it in that perspective. So that's really interesting to me that you, I mean, you can't say that about Martin and the Viagra car. So there's just so many ways that could go, or Michael Waltrip in the Country Time Lemonade car, or there's just some sponsors that seem to fit in the genre of racing better than others. But if it's a sponsor that's willing to be in the sport, I think it says a lot of the marketing department, the people that are willing to do that.
Indeed, it does. Colby Pierce has marketed himself past Christian Light, so Colby Pierce will move into 5th, Light to 6th. We are down, Sam, to 8 cars on the lead lap. Rick D is the last car on the lead lap, and there's Rick. He has fallen to 15 seconds in the rear, so he's still got about 10 seconds to go over this man, Greg Evans. Evans has staked himself to a 2-second lead over Matt Sisler in 2nd. Ryan O'Donohue is 3rd, and Kendall Paul is going to be along directly. Kendall Paul is 4th. We were watching Colby Pierce in 5th, Christian Light in 6th. Troy Carricker is 7th, and there's Troy pulling it off at turn number 4. Rick D is motoring along in 8th. He is about 2/3 of a lap down. David Dunwoody is the lap down. He is 9th, and Sean Merriman is 10th. They are 1 lap down. Joseph Klein just pulled his car into the pit lane after 53 laps. He is going to go at least 3 laps down, and then we get to Sean Roberts. He is the last car running in 12th spot. 12 cars remain in the race tonight from 19 starters. We had 19 start. 7 of them have taken it behind the wall. Donald Green, Eric Corder, Brian Sharp, Dylan Godinez, John Hutchins, Matt Metler, and Barry Seaman all out of this one, Sam, as we come to get 71 laps to go. And the question now becomes, who's going to go all the way and who is going to stop? No, and I don't disagree, Mike and Christy, with STP and Goodwrench and Petty and Earnhardt and all that. Those are iconic. But like when I looked at Dale Jr. in his 20s, that was a picture-perfect Budweiser ad without the beer can in his hand. You know what I'm saying? Same with Scott Dixon. Like, Dixon looks like a bank teller. Andy races like a bank teller. Right? Like...
No, I think I've never honestly really thought about it in the context of what you were saying. I mean,
but you know what I'm saying. The frosted.
I do. I never really thought of it in that context because I mean, you think about like Tim Richmond. He drove a Folgers car for years,
which was hilarious, by the way.
With the furthest thought of someone that would just be a coffee,
Well, what was his
a
sponsor
big
before
coffee
that?
advocate.
Yeah, who was his sponsor before that? Come on, Sam. It was old Milwaukee. And Barry Dodson will tell you will tell the stories about the interesting things that they did with their sponsors' products. Right? They enjoyed that very much. Of course, that team was the Blue Max team that then went on to win championships with Rusty Wallace. And you've got to think, what may have been had Richmond stayed there, right? Like, because look, Rusty Wallace goes on and wins a championship with that crew. Richmond goes to run the lead car for Harry Hyde and Rick Hendrick and all of that, and you're thinking, is that an upgrade? And certainly Richmond tore the NASCAR world up in 1986 and 87. He won 11 races, was it, in 86? I mean, he was bullet. He was
about untouchable in those 2 years.
Yeah. But you wonder, like, had he lived and had he stayed at Blue Max, first of all, does he get himself sick, right? But then also what might have been, because that was his team that went on and won the championship with Rusty Wallace. As the winning crew chief, the bit of trivia with that is, as the winning crew chief, Barry Dodson wore Tim Richmond's tuxedo to accept the championship crew chief trophy at the Waldorf in '89. I bet you knew that too, didn't you, Sam?
No, I love your vast knowledge of racing history, Mark. You are unrivaled.
It was a sequined tuxedo. Barry Dodson wore it because Barry Dodson was Richmond's crew chief when he was with Blue Max. Anyway, Greg Evans is not with Blue Max. He's driving for the Sim Gaming Expo. 3.2 seconds is the lead over Matt Sizzler. And there's Sizzler. Kendall Paul is third. Ryan O'Donohue fourth. O'Donohue and Paul are pretty close together. Colby Pierce is about 5 seconds back. And then you've got Christian Light and Troy Carricker are about to come together. The 7 car is Joseph Klein. Klein did pull in 8 laps ago, grabbed himself a new set of tires.
He did. He's on fresh tires. Right.
Yeah, he's on fresh tires. Now, Klein, he came by that time, 24.952, so he's about 0.4 of a second quicker than Greg Evans, your leader. And so some of these drivers may take note of that.
But he's also 3 laps down.
Yeah, he's also 3 laps down. And so that's the thing. You're going to pick up, 0.4 of a second for
Merriman 20. Is a lap down, but he's racy out here.
Yeah, there's Merriman, and he's on 26 lap old tires. So he is also on much fresher rubber than everybody else. He stopped with 88 to go, and there's Sean Merriman. He is 1 lap down. He's just past Carricker. He's looking to get up on Christian Light. So we're starting to see that dual strategy, Sam. Joseph Klein was already lapped before he made his stop. Sean Merriman was not. And so Merriman may be kind of the canary in the coal mine. He's 25.287 the last time to 25.517 for Greg Evans, and so Merriman is coming.
He sure is, and there's a lot of incentive for Sean because he had a strategy, and then there was some unfortunate contact where he was trying to make that pit stop, and so he's trying to make up all that lost ground that he had because of that. And so there's nothing that's more of a motivator than when something doesn't go in your favor. And so you have to change your game plan. You have to go from plan A, B, or to C or D sometimes when things just don't work out the way that you originally had thought. And so Sean Merriman is just trying diligently to try and catch at least up to the lucky dog spot, so that in the event that there may be a caution, he could get his lap back, because now Rick Fallis has gone a lap down.
Yeah, well, Rick D not only has gone a lap down, he's pulled it on the pit lane.
He's actually pitted.
Yeah, he went a lap down a couple of laps ago. I was about to call that, and then as soon as I got my mouth open to say it, Rick D pulls it on the pit road. Now, that's the old strategy. As soon as you go a lap down, pull in and put 4 tires on it, and try to make up that time. And so you've got
And
Merriman.
that splits the run in about half, which is what I kind of predicted that some drivers would do anyway, is that some would run half of the distance and then pit for fresh tires and then run the last half.
Yes, he is. Now Rick is staying out of the way, and there's still,
Dallas is super slow on this exit lap.
well, he's staying out of the way. I think there is
Yeah,
still
yeah.
damage on the front of that number 10 machine, and you can see it. It's been punched in pretty good. There is a matching.
Yeah.
I promise you, there is a matching wound on the back of the number 18 for Sean Merriman. But Rick's just, I think, trying to run out the string here. He is 10th and very securely so. Troy
Kendall
Carricker.
Paul's going to be one of our first leaders that's going to call out a pit stop. Kendall Paul's coming in on the pit road right now.
There he is, 55 laps to go, and here comes Kendall Paul. He will make the hard left-hand turn on the pit lane. Troy Carricker has pulled around the back of Christian Light, and look at the difference in the tires. Rick Falla's was slow, Sam. He was 3 or 4 tenths off the pace for that entire run. He comes to pit lane, puts
Look,
on.
he's up in the light gray area making passes.
Yeah,
with those new tires.
He puts on 4 Mr. Feelgoods, and here comes Rick Falla's. He goes around. He goes around Carricker and Light, who are running 4th and 5th, like they're hauling boats. Sam, that lap for Rick, 24.804, half a second quicker than Greg Evans. So that's what the new tires are worth, and you got to think.
And that damage on the nose could actually tighten the car up a little bit. It could be less loose in those first laps on cooler tires. It could actually tighten the car up some, having some of the downforce that changes on that car. Because now we're seeing, not only does he have this damage, but the track temp is already down to 96 degrees.
Well, we talked about that, Sam, at the outset, that we were going to see the conditions change. The air temp down to 81. The track has cooled off 11 degrees from the start of this. From the start of this.
Whoa, we got
contact.
Comes up the racetrack and hits Troy Carricker.
Woo-hoo-hoo. They both save it. Sean.
Oh, everyone. Oh. Now, if you don't mind, Mark, I want to point out to the folks that are watching the race tonight, we talked about how dangerous this pit entrance is. But Iowa does afford the drivers a tool that they can utilize. And if you're willing to go back and show Christian Light's pit stop, on the racing surface, when you're coming through 3 and 4, just on the bottom of below the racing surface, below the white line, when you're coming into turn 4, you'll see just at the white line, there are markers that are on the asphalt. There'll be 3 stripes, then a few feet ahead of that will be 2 stripes, and then a few feet of that will be 1 stripe. And those stripes are great markers for drivers to learn where they can come in and make their pit entrance. A lot of drivers have difficulty because they don't have those markers. But if you learn those markers, you can learn exactly where to turn down and where to start decelerating so that you can make a safe pit entry. I really credit Iowa for that because it is so helpful when you're in a race where green flag stops are so necessary.
It is, and I'm with you, Sam, as we get to see Troy Carricker pull in, and so Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donoghue are the last 2 that have not made their stops. Greg Evans, of course, has been staked with that huge lead, but now he pulls down the pit lane, and that's going to leave Troy Carricker. But that's a great call out, Sam. Those pit lane markers. It's almost it's not almost. It is just like the cones that you see sticking out of the fence, or the foot or yard markers at road courses.
At road courses, yes. Those are just helpful tools at racetracks that drivers really can take advantage of to work on their skills and work, because pit stops, especially green flag pit stops, are a big Achilles heel for a lot of drivers, and if they don't practice it, then they have a lot of difficulty. And so if you can learn those markers and learn the tools that a lot of tracks afford you, you can really hone your skill to become a much better racer, especially on your pit entry.
You can, and that's That also, for anybody out there listening, is a universal language. And so whether it's cones in the fence, or whether it's cones in the fence, Sam, or if it's whether it's cones in the fence or it's lines on the
Or
racetrack.
footage markers. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
those footage markers are universal. The number of stripes is 100 of feet to whatever the mark
Yes.
is. So the 3 stripes is 300 feet to pit entry, 2 stripes 200,
Yes.
1 stripe 100. At Indianapolis, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, for IndyCar races, as we see Ryan O'Donohue pull it in, he'll be the last car to come in. Smelton, yes, the Black Magic Grand National Series is recruiting. You can see the AMA, American Motorsport Association, in their Discord. You can also pull them up on Facebook, I believe, send them a message. But yes, there are open spots. So if you wanted to run with these guys, you are more than welcome. Submit your application to Kendall Paul, and we'll see you on the racetrack. Ryan O'Donohue has pulled it in. Meanwhile, Matt Sizzler and Kendall Paul are having a battle. Sizzler is on the fresher tires. Greg Evans has reassumed the lead. It cost him a couple of seconds to stay out, Sam. It cost him a couple of seconds. But there he is. Now, Sean Merriman has worked his own strategy. He's been out 45 laps. Merriman just got past Christian Light. And so there's Merriman. He runs 4th. He's on kind of an island. He's got 3 seconds up to Sizzler, 4 seconds back to Christian Light. Sean Merriman runs long in 4, Sam, and that would be a story.
Oh, well, again, he is the one that seems to really want to make those gambles, those risks, and Sean Merriman has proved that they can work sometimes, and some drivers are very good at that, and they can somehow make that magic happen, and he's proved that he can do it one time. And so even though he had a little misfortune that's befallen him earlier on with green flag stops, again, he could fall back to a plan B or C that will put him in a good position, because right now, with no more drivers than we have on the race course, as far as running, we only have 12 drivers on the track. The race is showing signs of finishing under green here, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't see a caution, because we just about saw one between Christian Light and Troy Carricker on pit stops just a little while ago.
Yeah, and that's something that's very hard here at Iowa. Again, you've got a situation where, it's very difficult to get on this pit lane anyway. You're trying to use all the tools the track affords you, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't get. Sometimes you just accidents happen. It's also very narrow over there. Ryan O'Donohue is going to pull underneath Sean Merriman, so there's a spot. Meanwhile, Kendall Paul is also underneath Matt Sizzler. This is a battle for second.
Yeah, these two drivers have stayed in a very close proximity of each other. I think that their lap times are very similar. Matt Sizzler seemed to have just a tad bit more long run speed. But Kendall Paul he showed that he had long run speed in the second stage. But I don't think that he wants Sizzler to get away from him, and those two are just going to ride it out here. As they're only drivers that are 4 seconds back, and they're close together. They're not getting any pressure from any other drivers.
Yes, they are, and I just wanted to kind of go back and point out. Normally, you see those markers, those paint markers, cone markers, foot markers at road courses. They are sometimes utilized for pit entrance on ovals. You'll see them at Pocono in the turns. In Pocono, they're represented by cones in the fence. They're also represented by Pepsi billboards in the past. Indianapolis, believe it or not, the IndyCar oval, not the NASCAR when they take them down for the NASCAR races, but at Indianapolis, the IndyCars use foot markers to the corner to turns 1 and 3 as well. I didn't know if you knew that, Sam. Those are probably the most famous examples.
You'd be surprised at how many venues that drivers show up at, and they miss those tools to help them understand pit entry and how close they are to their pits, to the cones and things like that. I was shocked at how many drivers never saw those markers on the bottom of the racetrack here at Iowa, and I've mentored and helped other drivers over the years to see those things, or look for markers or make their own markers so that they could make the most of their pit entrances, because pit entry is critical for having. It's not just, you don't have to be very talented to go 45 miles an hour down a straight line, but you do have to work and practice and hone your skills on slowing the car down from 185 miles an hour down to 45, and knowing exactly how to do that, where to do that, and how much room you have to do that.
Now, Sam, we do have some AMA related news coming into the chat. The first thing we wanted to do is we have reports from our good friend Andrew Wood. There was no damage to the station wagon tonight. He brought it home with a top 10 finish, although he's decrying his lack of pace, and we all know he's full of it when he says he's slow. The other one is that the old narc brain Logan Edwards put it on the pole and won the Elite Racing Network Grand Prix of Portland tonight, and so congratulations to Logan. He's joined us in the broadcast. Believe it, brother.
Logan is a winner here in the AMA, and he's proven that it's not a fluke.
No, and he did. He ran very, very well in the IndyCar Open top split race at Portland. He backs that up with a big time win in a big time league over there at the Elite Racing League. And so, good show, Logan. Congratulations. That's a big deal. Ryan O'Donoghue's another big deal. He just flashed underneath Kendall Paul, and Ryan O'Donoghue.
Sure did. I wonder what's going on with Kendall Paul, because he has really backed off his pace here. I don't know if he's on older tires or what, but he was following Sisler, and now he's falling off pace. Well, actually, he's not falling off that much from where he was in relation to Greg Evans. But Sisler must have turned on the booster rockets or something, because now he's knocked some of the time differential between he and Greg Evans down. What was a 4-second differential, a plus 4-second differential, is now 2.5 seconds. Ryan O'Donoghue now moves into third place. Kendall Paul is in fourth, and that will leave Christian Light in fifth spot. David Dunwoody actually just made another pit stop, and so now he is 2 laps down, as well as Joseph Klein. Rick Fallis is the only car 1 lap down, running in the 9th position, so he will actually be in the lucky dog spot in the event that there may be a caution, which we're not wishing for, but just in the event that he would be in the lucky dog spot. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he is actually making some time up on Troy Carricker, who is in the 8th spot.
Very good. So we're all congratulating Logan Edwards on his win in the Elite Racing League, the Warriors for Peace Series tonight. That is a huge deal. That's a top level. For those of you who don't know, that is a top level IndyCar series. It's a P1 broadcasting crew. Gary Gonzo, LGN, are on the mics over there. To win a race, any race in that league, is a huge deal. And so we're hoping that Logan's having a good time and soaking it up. We're hoping that everybody in the audience is soaking this one up as well. Greg Evans is soaking up a huge lead. He has about 1.92 seconds over this man, Matt Sisler, in second. Ryan O'Donoghue is third, and there's O'Donoghue. Kendall Paul runs along in fourth. Christian Light is the man in fifth. Colby Pierce is about 5 seconds behind Christian Light, who is 6 seconds aback of Kendall Paul. And there's Colby. Sean Merriman is seventh. He's a couple of seconds behind Pierce. Troy Carricker is catching very rapidly Sean Merriman. Merriman is on much older tires. Remember, he stopped at the very beginning of the cycle lap, and so he's got 65 laps on his Goodyears. He's trying to make it to the end. Carricker is the last car on the lead lap. Rick D 1 lap down in 9th. David Dunwoody 2 laps down in 10th. 2 laps down in 11th. Joseph Klein, and then 15 laps in arrears, Sean Roberts. And you're right, Sam, with 23 laps to go, I think we're going to finish this one more or less under green. We'll show Merriman and Carricker. That is the closest fight for position on the Speedway.
Yeah, it's just the drivers that are remaining on the track are, they're seasoned drivers, and they're good at what they do, and so it is you could very well see the end of this race in under green unless something catastrophic happens with some of the other drivers. But I've seen far stranger things happen in races online before.
Sam, I think with as many sim races as we've seen, real life races that we've seen, if they're short of us waking up tomorrow with our head stapled to the carpet, I don't think we could be surprised.
No. No, especially if you've raced any official races. But league races are a little more predictable, but not always predictable.
And that's something that we're gonna have to discuss at some point on a long green flag run, official races versus leagues, because I've done both at a pretty high level. I know you run some pretty high level league stuff, so it'd be interesting to have a discussion and debate on that. James Hodgson checking in. He's guessing that Brian Sharp found not only the trees but the Ardennes forest.
Only a Brit would say that.
I don't know. I don't know if the Ardennes would be the correct size forest. Maybe more like the Amazon rainforest. He definitely hit them. He's been parked on pit lane for 56 minutes, 135 laps in arrears, and so poor Brian Sharp will be credited with 15th place. We're watching Troy Carricker. He has gotten past Sean Merriman, and Merriman is quickly fading out of the picture. There is not a battle anywhere on the track for any position, and there is Greg Evans.
We're 15, 16 laps away from the end of this event. I will say Matt Sisler has his lap times have been consistently a little bit faster than Greg Evans, and the differential is diminishing, but I just don't think he has enough laps. I just don't think that there's enough laps for him to really catch Greg Evans with these kind of increments.
Yes, he could, and and it's one of those where Sizzler gains a couple of tenths. I think Evans is just taking it nice. I think Greg's taking it nice and easy.
He may be riding. He could very well be riding. That's true.
He knows that he's got it in cruise mode. And that last time through, Greg Evans matched Matt Sisler, so he knows. He's watching the relative, I'm sure, and he knows what the interval is. These two are the fastest on the racetrack at the moment, other than maybe Kendall Paul, Christian Light, both running 25.1s, but they are 4 and 11 seconds back in positions 4 and 5. Ryan O'Donoghue definitely has P3 secured from Kendall Paul. Again, barring any catastrophes, right? Cousin Eddie could pull the motorhome out, drive around the racetrack and cause something here, but barring anything unforeseen, it's going to finish more or less just like this, Sam. As we watch Greg Evans, he's got 13 laps to go.
I agree with you on all of those points. We're certainly watching what racing can be like here at Iowa, as we talked about so early in the event. And Kendall Paul gets a handful of race cars as he goes into turn 3 there. But anyway, we found out early in the race just what a handful this race car was under the hot track conditions and very loose, and a lot of drivers suffered because of that. And as the track cools off, there is this green flag runs that are very prevalent for this particular racetrack under these conditions. But what we're not seeing is we're not seeing one car absolutely drive completely out of everyone's life. There's, Matt Sisler is
He's
still
keeping
closing
Greg
on Greg
honest.
Evans.
He's keeping him
Yeah,
honest. He's
he
closed
really
it down
is.
under a second. It was a second and a half about 15 laps ago. So Sizzler has closed it down. He's closed it down now. Greg Evans had caught some lap traffic. Now Sizzler has to deal with it, and he'll drop back a couple of tenths on that, or drop back a tenth on that lap. But Sizzler
Yes, sir.
might have a chance to make this interesting. He's chopped it to 9/10 of a second, and he's been incrementally quicker than Greg Evans. Do welcome Shelby Carricker to the chat. Shelby, there's your man. He is seventh.
Troy has been fantastic tonight, Shelby. He's done a great job, and he's been fast, and he's been exciting. He's had a handful of the car, and he's actually just there's been some scary moments, but he's done a great job.
He owns the second longest wreck without hitting anything, I think, Sam. The longest one goes to David Dunwoody. Troy, I think, is second in that regard. He is going to try to fight here to stay on the lead lap with 9 laps to go. Greg Evans steady that time, 25.170 for Evans to a 25.222 for Sizzler. So Evans pulled it out just a little bit, 8 laps to go. Watching Troy Carricker, watching Greg Evans, and there's the deuce. Sim Gaming Expo on the side of that newly painted machine. What is that blue? I like the bluish green, but I need the color, Sam.
Both these drivers, these drivers are driving a paint, this paint that kind of resembles like an aqua kind of color, more greenish than it is blue. But no, those colors are outstanding. I would say that the color on the Deuce is a little more muted, but that is actually the logo color for the Sim Gaming Expo, which I think is just a stellar logo. I really love the work that George Gonzalez has done with this particular logo campaign that he's done with the Sim Gaming Expo. It's really cool.
Yes, it is. We're gonna zoom in a little bit tighter on Greg Evans so that the fans at home can see it. September 5 through 7, you can go to the Sim Gaming Expo. We're gonna have there's going to be a ton of racing going on. P1's going to be broadcasting the Sim Gaming Expo Open Wheel Challenge. I will be driving in it. We're going to put Matt Wagner in the booth. Gary will probably wish that I was in the booth and Wagner was driving. And we have caution.
Oh, there's a caution on the Speedway.
There's
a caution on the Speedway.
Joseph Klein. And let's see what's happening.
What a surprise.
That's going to be a spin off of turn 2, and Troy Carricker is going to get rewarded because we're going to have a green-white checker here. If Troy Carricker, Christian Light, and Colby Pierce don't come get tires, if they got them, I would be shocked.
He got down on the apron. He really tried to chop that corner off, and the left tires got down below the white line, and that just sent Joseph Klein into a spin there on the backstretch. Now, Joseph is another one of those drivers who just, he blazed himself up from the back of the field as he made a charge toward the front, but he just got caught in some early race incidents.
We've got stories, Sam. Everybody everybody has come to the pit lane that was on the lead lap.
Everyone should have tires. I don't know who would not have tires.
Well, everybody came and got them. I thought that we might have a split decision. Greg Evans comes out first. Kendall Paul is going to be second. Then Sizzler, then O'Donohue. Christian Light is fifth. Colby Pierce is going to be sixth. Troy Carricker is going to come off seventh. Sean Merriman is on the pit lane. He is going to get four fresh Mr. Feelgoods. He will be eighth. Rick D is going to get the wave around, and so he'll get back on the lead lap, Sam.
He was the lucky I thought he was the lucky
He
dog
was
candidate.
not.
I don't know
Merriman was the
why he's
lucky
taking her
dog.
wave around.
Merriman was the
Oh,
lucky
Sean
dog.
Merriman was.
Yeah,
Okay,
Merriman was the
okay.
lucky dog. A
And it
character,
would only make sense that he would take the wave around. That's right. That's good.
you know, and so Rick would take the wave around. We are going to have an attempt at a green white checker,
Yes.
and
Well,
so
actually, we may have 4 laps of racing here.
yeah, so we're gonna have some attempt, and this is not the green white checker, is it, Sam? Or
No, sir. No, sir.
they have not declared
Oh no,
this?
yeah, you're correct. You are correct. It's showing a GWC in the server, so we are in a green white checker here.
And what is the limit on green white checker, Sam, in the AMA?
There is no limit on green white checkers in the AMA Grand National Series. Is no limit. We will run green white checkers until there are either no more cars left on the track or someone runs across the finish line. Now, what we've seen too is on these restarts, even though the track temperature has dropped dramatically from what it was early in the race, we've seen some drivers are very comfortable in cold tires, and so they're willing to take risks and gambles that they normally would not take on used tires. Drivers just like Matt Sisler, Ryan O'Donoghue, Christian Light was extremely fast.
We're going to put the camera on Christian Light for sure, because he has been worth the price of admission on most of these restarts. And he has by far been the quickest car on short runs.
Yes, he's been extremely fast all night long on fresh tires. And so it's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out in regards to the into this last restart. If they go in there all jumbled up into one, I mean, anything is possible. We could see someone back in the 7th, 8th, or 9th position that could come back and win this race if it gets all testy. And now we're under green, and they're coming down the front stretch with Greg Evans getting a big jump.
Whoa, Kendall Paul sideways off of Christian Light. Big wreck. I don't know if the outside line.
Pierce gets involved in that as well.
I don't know, Sam. I think that we had an issue with the inside line getting going. Kendall Paul takes a shot from Ryan O'Donoghue, and then he takes a shot from Ryan O'Donoghue on the restart, pulls up. Christian Light had pressure from Troy Carricker on the bottom.
I think Kendall may have spun the tires a little bit there.
Well, and then Kendall comes down and he doesn't realize that he's 3 wide on the top instead of just 2 wide. Nowhere to go.
Troy Carricker was really, he was eagerly is involved trying to get down to the bottom there, and Christian Light could have very well gotten a car inside call there with Troy Carricker on the bottom.
Yes, he could have.
There's a lot of discussion about how many green-white checkers there are, and so now the drivers are getting a bit nervous, thinking if it gets really crazy on all these green-white checkers. But now most of all the leaders have pitted. They should have plenty of fuel. However, these I'm just thinking to myself, Mark, is that if they have the automated pit stop loaded, it is only going to give them 1 lap more fuel than what they need to finish the race.
Well, you can request up to 10 extra laps.
You can bump that up, but you have to manually do that. It will not do it for you. You have to manually bump that lap limit up. And so are these drivers going to have to go back in if they keep having green-white checkers? Are they going to have to go back in order to have enough fuel? But if they had enough fuel by the end of the run, they could very well have enough laps.
They could. Now, I do want to point out that David Dunwoody is now back on the lead lap. Rick D has come in and got himself some.
Rick Fallis has come in and got fresh tires. Yep.
So Sean Merriman came back and got himself 4 new ones. Dunwoody on pit lane. He's going to be back on the lead lap. So everybody in the top 10 realistically has a shot here. We're going to line up with Greg Evans on the inside of the front row, Matt Sisler to the outside.
Oh, this is good. The fastest hot shoes in practice and in the race so far on fresh tires they're going to do everything in their power to get around that deuce. Troy Carricker has been equally as fast. Ryan O'Donoghue does not need any kind of invitation to tell you how fast he is. This is going to get good. This is really going to get good as they go into turn 1 on this restart. If I'm in those positions, let's say if I'm in 6th on back, I'm going to give myself a little room. I just don't want to get caught in anything that may happen ahead of me. I would be so reluctant to get in there and try to be racy on that first entry into turn 1. Greg Evans has the advantage though, because he'll get to jump this start in the restart zone.
Well, and Christian Light also has an advantage because Light's going to follow him.
Yes, because he can follow off the bumper of the 2. And so he can get a big jump by watching the deuce in front of him. The big disadvantage is for Matt Stifler. The only way that he can make up that disadvantage is to drive it deeper into 1. But can you hold it there with fresh tires? Oh, this is going to get good. Hang on, folks. We're trying to finish this race out.
There you go, Christy. I'd be proud of Christian too. Here we go. The green flag is out. The deuce gets the jump.
Oh, Troy Carricker does not get a good start.
No, he doesn't. We're going to head down into turn number 1 and 2. Clean and green so far. Matt Sizzler to the outside. Light to the inside.
Oh, and Sizzler's out a handful, but he's able to hold it. Then they drop deep into turn 3. He's going to try it on the outside. Christian Light on the bottom. All 3 of these drivers are pushing this car as hard as they can do. The next flag will end the race. Greg Evans touches the wall.
We're 3 wide at Iowa. Greg Evans is going to go around over Christian Light. He goes around.
They're wrecking off of the backstretch. Oh,
hard into the wall, Carricker. Matt Sizzler is going to come down. He is going to win this race from Ryan O'Donoghue. Maybe O'Donoghue gets into the left rear of Sizzler. To the line they come. It's going to be Matt Sizzler. Ryan O'Donoghue spins out across the grass. Colby Pierce comes home 3rd. David Dunwoody is 4th. And Kendall Paul is 5th. Sam?
I can't even begin to tell you the the screaming that's going on in the Matt Sisler vehicle right now. He is on the comms and he is beside himself.
Well, he
is so happy.
I'm sure he is. We're gonna get back. We're gonna get back.
There's a lot of discussion going on too between Evans and Light, and I mean, this is the kind of thing that we thought could happen. Did we expect it? No. But did we get it? Yes. And so if you stay tuned for this ending, you got a classic green white checker ending.
You did, and we're going to ride on board. This is one. Now remember, this is 1/3 time. This is what Matt Sizzler saw. There goes Evans. There goes Evans. There goes Light, and he's not out of the woods yet, because here comes Ryan O'Donoghue to the inside. We're going to get the left rear, and I thought O'Donoghue had made the move. He got to the inside. He's not trying to wreck him, but he just gives Matt Sizzler the "I'm here" tap. Right, because that's one, I'm here, and moves him up the racetrack a little bit on exit. And I thought that was gonna get, Matt Sizzler jiggled up the racetrack just enough. Unfortunately, it jiggled. You can see it jiggled Ryan O'Donoghue loose too.
Once he picks up the throttle again, that's a lot of rear tire spin on that bottom side, and so with the wheel input and the tire spin, he starts losing the back of the car just a little bit, and it's hard to make up that ground when you have those elements working against you. Evans got into the wall on the front stretch, and it just slowed his momentum down just enough to allow Sisler and Light to catch him. these guys are racing for the win. I don't think anything by any stretch of the imagination was intentional. I don't think Christian Light had any inclination of trying to get into the deuce. I think they're racing for the win. It's racing contact, and Greg Evans just happens to be the unlucky recipient of that.
As they
if
say,
you look at the replay, you can see Ryan O'Donohue just losing the back of the car when he tries to get back in the throttle.
as they say, Sam, that's racing. Matt Sizzler is going to come home the winner. Ryan O'Donohue second. Colby Pierce rounds out the podium. David Dunwoody went from 10th to 4th in that final exchange. Kendall Paul is going to be 6th. How about Rick D? He's going to be 6th. Sean Merriman 7th. Greg Evans 8th. Christian Light 9th. And Troy Carricker is going to be credited with 10th. Fine runs for all of those drivers. They are the balance of the lead lap. In 11th, Joseph Klein, 4 laps down. Sean Roberts, the final finisher. He is credited with 12th, 16 laps off the pace. Donald Green, Eric Corder, Brian Sharp, Dylan Godnez, John Hutchins, Matt Medler, and Barry Seaman all participated but did not finish. 19 cars, Sam, 250 laps, and we wound up with a classic of a finish, and I can only hope
6 laps of nail-biting, breath-holding, end-of-the-seat sitting craziness.
You're sitting, Sam. I'll bet we've got a man right here who's pretty doggone happy. It's Colby Pierce. Colby, you've got Murph, you've got Sam in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy. What's going on, Mark? What's going on?
That was wild, brother. Tell us what you saw on that last lap, and
You
we'll
tell us.
Yeah, you
tell us.
You tell. There's no question to ask, man. Talk about that last lap and what you saw and how in the world you dodged those wrecks, dude.
So, I mean, I was just going for it. In reality, like, I was just going to go for it. It was either I was going to get up in that wreck or I was going to pass it. Like, I just aimed the car at one spot and said, we're going to go here, and if we get collected, we get collected. You know, coming into this race, I was a little late to the party and then had some technical issues, so I didn't even get to practice nor qualify. So I had no time on this track at all coming into this green flag, and I'm pretty happy with where we ended up, you know, 3rd place, and have my teammate behind me in 4th. I just want to, you know, thank everyone for, you know, the help this last little while, and I'm glad to be back up on the podium.
Colby, man, I'm thrilled that you've got this podium finish. It was just an exciting ending to the race. I realized that you have some drivers that probably would have never liked to have seen that late race caution come out. But I am interested to hear you were talking about not having a lot of practice time tonight, but you were clearly really good on old tires. You want to just give us a little insight about what you were doing to kind of conserve those tires and make your run up through the field late in the run?
I was just driving the thing. Like, I don't really have much of, like, this is what I did and everything, because I don't know what I was doing today. I went into this race blind. So I just found a line that worked and ran it, and it really was better on the older tires than the newer tires.
Well, there was a couple of times there in the race that we actually called where you were just moving steadily up through those middle top 10 positions, and you were steady. You were really steady in your lap time. So I would not say it's a fluke, but you were on that last restart, you were in that key position that I actually said to Mark, I said, if I was in that position where you were at, I would just lay back. I would not want to get involved up with those front runners on entry into 1 and 2. I would just as soon just kind of stay back just a little bit, enough to let it unfold and then let something come to me, and that's exactly what you did. So fantastic job tonight, Colby.
Well, I did get caught up in that one. I did get some X's from that. I also got some X's. I got some X's from the wreck with Kendall as well when he went up the track. I caught him as well, so I got a few X's towards the end there. But it wasn't enough to slow down the car or anything. I think I just like barely missed it, and iRacing just wanted to hit me with the 4 because I felt like it.
Well, it's a fantastic job, and we're thrilled for your podium position. However you can get them and enjoy them.
Yeah, man. Colby, great run.
Yeah.
Glad you dodged the wrecks. Good looking hot rod. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, I just want to thank Dark Horse Performance. I want to thank Black Magic Studios, Napas Media, P1 Broadcasting, Big Jim's Cookies, Admin Box, Archway Industrial, SKP Storm Tracking 78, Mains Auto. Just want to thank all of them for all the support this season. And I'm glad to bring this Dale Earnhardt inspired car up into third place.
Very good. Now go tell Sharp that I want a cookie.
Don't know if you'll get one of those. Might have to try just a little longer.
Tell Sharp I want a cookie. Congratulations on your great run, Colby, and we'll see you. We'll see you at the next one. That's Colby Pierce. We'll get him out of here, and we'll exchange him for Ryan O'Donoghue. Ryan, you've got Murph, you've got Sam in the P1 broadcasting booth. Oh, so close. You got back to the gas on Sizzler, and it looked like the thing snapped sideways. But kind of talk to us about your race up until that last lap. That was wild. But what was your plan going into that last green white checker, and how did you execute it and come away with a podium?
The plan was for no green white checkers. I had to pee real bad. I was good with.
I thought we were interviewing Ryan O'Donoghue. I didn't realize it was Kyle Heath.
Well, no, that's during the race.
Yeah, I was good really with third. It was like I really didn't need that yellow, but no, the race was great. I mean, we had some great battles. I think Troy and I ran door to door there through a couple corners. Man, it was fun. We had plenty of tires, so it was kind of just follow the pattern, right, and don't do anything weird. That last stage, I tried to go deep as far as I could, but I was just kind of bleeding time, it felt like. It actually helped. I think when I went by Kendall, he had some damage. I don't know what happened there. I ran up on Matt, and then I just stalled out. The green white checker, though, man, well, we got around the first one. I don't know what happened there below me, but we got around the outside, and then, yeah, the last one, the seats part of the back. I was hoping they didn't come across me on the back straightaway, and get collected. But I definitely don't race like that. I was just talking to Matt. I wasn't gonna. I need that win too, but I wasn't gonna wreck him for that win. You know, I sent it in there and tried to wiggle him out of the way. But yeah, when I tried to stomp on their throttle, it just didn't stick. Right, so. We tank slapped it across the line, but second will work. That's a good points night.
Well, you described it to a T, Ryan. Just fantastic job. You were easily running in the top 5 all night long, and you've had plenty of speed, especially on the short runs. Of course, you seem to be the master with fresh tires in your ability to get speed, but you called it exactly the way that I saw it. You had an opportunity just to make a slight nudge there to Matt coming out of 4, but not being able to put the power down on that bottom side really just kind of sent you into like a little bit of a tire spin, and it kind of lost all that momentum. But I was just thoroughly thrilled to see you finish tonight in a good finish. My only question for you is that what do you think moving forward? I mean, some of these things are really starting to work into your favor. Some of the races you got a win under your belt now, and now you've got this opportunity to win some more races. How do you work your particular talents where you are so fast in practice, so fast in qualifying, you have short run speed? How do you equate those things into longer opportunities for you in races like this?
I think, yeah, the short run speed's always been there. I definitely have to work on the longer runs. That's definitely my Achilles heel, but I think just keep driving the way we've been driving, and slowly work that in. I think I started doing it on the road courses throughout the season, and that really helped, especially following like people like Logan around. He's definitely good at backing those corners up and driving out with speed.
Yeah,
then
just to let you know, he wasn't here because he was off racing in the Elite Racing League, which is a top-level IndyCar league in the service. He won tonight at Portland, if that tells you how good of a road racer he is.
Yeah, for sure. And then like getting a little closer here lately to Greg and seeing what he's doing here at these particular tracks. This is not my favorite track for sure. It's one of those like that definitely my kind of aggressiveness on entry really tends to
Yeah,
bite
this
me
tire chews
later. But
tires up for aggressive drivers. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, stuff like that. And then just lately, I've been kind of, like I said, work's been kicking my butt, so I haven't had much time to practice. And I think that's kind of stepped me back away from trying to do too much during the week and overthink things. And I've really just kind of taken it in stride and practice for the hour before the race and gone into it with what I've got.
Well, you definitely
Well,
got
there's
into
no
second.
question that you got the talent, man.
Yeah, keep knocking on the door, and the wins are going to start coming in bunches, my man. I know you got that monkey off your back, and all that does is make you want more. But what we want to hear is more of you, friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The floor is yours, Ryan.
Yeah, girlfriend for watching. She's excited. This was a great points night, so we're happy for that. Mass Surgical Supply, Maxima, Heatwave, AMA, all the admins, Kendale. He's got a great league here. Always mention that one. Just such a fun time throughout the year with these guys. All their sponsors: Archway Industrial Coatings, Black Magic Studios, Track Racer, Rogue Energy, Admin Box. You guys always in the booth. You guys put on a show. We'll watch this one back too for sure. Everybody watching, and congratulations to Matt. That was a heck of a run to the finish. I know he was looking for one, so congratulations to him.
Yes, it was. Get out of here. Go
Well done,
celebrate.
Ryan.
Yeah, get out of here. Go celebrate, man. Keep going fast, having fun, and we'll see you next week. We'll see you tomorrow.
Heck yeah.
Forget next
We'll
week.
see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, Richmond.
Heck yeah.
Get your cartoons
We'll have
ready,
a good
my
one
man.
tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That is Ryan O'Donohue. We'll get him out of here, and we will replace him with tonight's winner. That's Matt Sizzler in the Three Birdies Chevrolet Camaro. Matt, welcome to Victory
I don't
Lane.
know if we have enough room in the booth for all that excitement.
Oh, I'm glad I could make it a little interesting for you at the end.
Yeah, welcome to Victory Lane in the AMA. Great run for you in that Three Birdies Chevrolet. I tell you what, what did you see in that final lap, and what were you thinking when you saw Greg and Christian get together there?
I mean, I was just trying to get the good restart there, and I got out in front, and I knew Christian was fast, and Greg, I think, got the wall off four, so I was going to try to cut under him, and then he came off the wall and blocked me, and I knew Christian was already there, so I tried to, in the heat of the moment, I tried to put it 3 wide to the high side because I felt like that's the only open track, and I completely blew the corner, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to give here comes Ryan, I'm going to give up the podium, and then I couldn't even believe it when I saw the 2 start spinning off the corner. Like, oh my God, I'm going to do it. And then I admit I almost counted chickens before they hatched because Ryan was close. Ryan was closer than I thought he was. Didn't listen to the instructions on those door mirrors. Objects in the mirror may be closer than they appear, because he drove it in there and got into me, and just absolutely insane final few laps to be so close last week. In back-to-back races, you guys saw both times we almost had a 3 birdies machine in Victory Lane, and to do it here, which is basically kind of home territory for one of the owners of 3 Birdies Golf Company, our sponsor, is a really, really cool moment. It's also where I got my first win with them as a sponsor last year. So it's just insane. It's a really, really special thing to be able to do.
Man, I was in the server and listened to you screaming in the comms. If people that are watching these events online, if they're watching these things and think that there is not some emotion or some attachment to victories and winning these things and how important that they might be to people that put the time and effort in, they're not listening to that kind of excitement, and they miss that. And so it's one of the things that I enjoy about having these podium interviews after the race is that they can actually know what it means to people who enjoy this hobby and utilize it in their free time, and you're a great exhibit of that tonight. and all your exuberance. My only question for you, and I'll keep it simple, is
Okay.
did you feel like you were getting a false sense of hope when you were closing in so much on Evans there in the closing laps right before that last caution?
I wasn't sure. I knew I was closing in. I'd more put the pace on to make sure the 14 didn't get near us, because the 14 had, I don't know how he did it. It's black magic, ironically enough, given the sponsor of the series, that because he came out of the pits like 13, 14 seconds behind the leader, and all of a sudden he's halved that gap in 15 laps. I was like, that's where I decided, okay, I got to go here. And so it was really more just trying to keep the 14 behind us, but I did see the gap coming down to Greg, and I don't know. Greg said he was riding. I'm not 100. It's possible he was. Possible, I could have got to within half a second, and he could have just dropped the hammer and pulled away again. But
Right.
It would have been interesting to see how that played out if it went green all the way to the end. It wasn't really a false sense of hope. I was at that point. It was kind of like, I need Greg to make a mistake to give me a real shot at this. If not, I'm probably running second to him for the second straight week in a row. And it's going to be with under half a second for the second straight week.
We can sit back and say woulda, coulda, shoulda all night long, but the fact of the matter is Matt Sisler is the winner of the Iowa Corn 250 tonight. So congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you so much.
As you know, Matt,
Thank you.
winner goes the spoils. Friends, family, sponsor, shout-outs. Get them all in, my man. You've earned it.
Thanks. Man, I need him. I still kind of need a second. The adrenaline's running. Three Birdies Golf for being the awesome sponsor that they are. This is just under a year, just under a year ago that we ran today that we ran our first race with them. It was August 19th last year. Since August 14th tonight. So huge shout out to them, to John, to his whole family for this. This was this one means a lot, especially because I'm pretty sure this is basically one of his home races, the other one being Michigan. And I'm so grateful for this. To that S4 guy, Zach Millett, the guy who did my paint scheme, he's been such an awesome friend to me, and to this awesome Three Birdies ZL1 that you see on screen. And last week was his home race at the Glen, and I couldn't get it there. I was really trying, but I couldn't quite get Greg on that. Greg there, so a win for him as well. Shout out a couple of my friends, Melinda and Kaylee. Both of them have been going through a little bit of a rough patch. I hope they're doing a bit better. One of my closest friends, Jay's getting married, so to him and on Saturday. So shout out to him and to his lovely soon-to-be bride. This one's for you guys. Celsius for the quick energy, Peace, Love, and Pause Rescue, Kendale and everybody at AMA for putting this series on, Black Magic Studios for being the title sponsor for an awesome series like this, and last but not least, you guys up in the booth. You guys do an incredible job. And I'm definitely going to be looking forward to watching this one back after I calm down a little bit.
Well, you can breathe. That's for sure.
Heck yeah, man. Yep. Get out of here. Go celebrate, Matt. We appreciate you being here. Keep going fast and have fun, buddy.
Will do. See you guys later.
Yes, sir. That is one.
Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you.
That is one very excited Matt Sisler. And Sam, I am one very worn out broadcaster. I don't know about you. If you could just go down and go down there to the drugstore and get us some more Rolaids. That would be perfect.
Malox at this point.
My
just drink a bottle of Malox.
My goodness gracious. We've had some awesome races here in the AMA. They do not disappoint. They do not disappoint, do they, Sam?
Well, there at the end, we were alluding to the fact that anything can happen in these online events, and you were making a joke about cousin Eddie, right? Bringing the RV out on the racetrack. Anything can happen, and then who would have thought of all drivers, Joseph Klein would have lost it on the backstretch, and that late race caution would come out. But it absolutely changed the complexity of the very end of that race. And boy, you talk about a nail biter. It was good.
Yeah, you talk about a barn burner. That finish was just as good as it gets. And if you think that was good, wait till tomorrow. We've got the Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series live from Richmond. It'll be Sam and I on the call. 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. Saturday, mercifully, there is no race. Sam, the iRacing IndyCar Series presented by 40 Race wears off. Gary and I get to do yard work. Natalie has already made the list. It is several pages long. Sunday night, we have the Dark Horse CW12 Series presented by The Joy of Driving. That's going to be live from Legacy, Michigan at 8 p.m. Monday night, the IndyCar Series Top Split. They go from Milwaukee at 8 p.m. That'll be Jacob Collins and I on the call. Tuesday, the IndyCar Oval Series Top Split presented by Techtopia. They are going from Kentucky. There is no race Wednesday because Thursday we are right back here with the AMA Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series live from Daytona. And Sam, that's kind of where it all started for. That's kind of where this all started for us. Was a fantastic race at Daytona. We're going back 6 months later.
Well, you talk about bringing drivers out of the nooks and crannies. Everybody shows up for super speedways. It's just, there's been some question about the field sizes have dropped a little bit during the summertime, which is not unusual for most leagues. But when you start talking about drivers that want to have an opportunity to really get in there and race, those super speedways are a attendance magnet, and so I'm eager to see what kind of field we have for that event.
I am absolutely eager as well, Sam. I do want to thank all of our friends, all of the viewers that joined us. We had another great crowd on hand tonight. Remember, if you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, and subscribe to the P1 Broadcasting Network. We are closing in, Sam, 1,300 subscribers, and wouldn't that be awesome to get there soon? Do also want to thank all of the people that make this possible, and not just the competitors and the fans, but the real people that make it possible: the military, the police, the firemen, the ambulance drivers, the EMTs in the back of the ambulance, and the nurse in the emergency room when you get there. From the bottom of our hearts, Sam, we thank you all. Sam, we need to get a 20. We are exactly, and I say this with all the love in my heart, 21 hours. And I will see you again, brother.
Oh, is it 21 hours?
21 hours. You need to sleep some of that.
Man, I think I'm gonna need a bigger bottle of Maalox.
Go to the drugstore, get Maalox and sleeping pills. We will see you tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.